What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 9HH Chapter 238 Family Gathering. Yèyuè Guāng, UB********** D. My old lady never did anything to be sorry for you. You actually gave birth to so many while my old lady was away. Inside the school building in Tokiwadai where Makoto and Kuroko live. In Makoto and Kuroko's room, roars from Masaka Masuzu sounded. When you see the Makoto, full of the house, the original Makoto Yezuki Makoto, Taimei Makoto. Extraordinary individual, slim soft Makoto. No, lowly Makoto, is the last work. Masaka Masuzu exploded in the first reaction. The first thought that came to mind was that the D Yèyuè Guāng was stealing people outside, and then gave birth to so many people without telling him. Seeing Masaka Masuzu making tiger claws with both hands, it seemed like a real move. Makoto and number 000 hurriedly got up, blocking each other from left to right. Eka-san, calm down, things are not what you think. Please listen to us explain. The second woman had a good meal, one on the left and the other on the right, and said, finally struggling to calm down Masaka Masuzu, who was flushed with anger. At this moment, Yèyuè Guāng suddenly said, really don't think about it, these girls look the same as you steal it if you want to steal, and I can't give birth to a daughter like this. Masaka Masuzu, who had just calmed down, felt another irritation in her heart. My old lady fights with you. Masaka Masuzu was about to pounce again. Today's swearing is almost more than the sum of the first half of her life. Mom. Listen to us first, Odu-san. Shut up, Sister Pao hurriedly hugged her mother's slender waist, and at the same time glared at this stinky old man who was not too much trouble. Also hurried forward to stop Masaka Masuzu's runaway. Sitting on the knees of Yèyuè Guāng on the side of Makoto's bed, wearing Makoto's large white shirt, the final piece, she was looking at Masaka Mireu with thirsty and curious eyes. But if you look closely, you will find that her eyes have been scanning Masaka Masuzu's 91E and her airport, which is even more barren than Makoto. From time to time, he made a few unwilling murmurs. From the beginning to the end, the outsiders didn't dare to look at Masaka Masuzu's eyes, keeping their heads sinking. At the beginning, the attitude of the Taimei sister disappeared to nowhere. After scored twice, Masaka Masuzu finally calmed down. Advertisement. Although the guy Yèyuè Guāng said something a little bit long ago, it makes sense. If this D really hides from himself and steals children from outsiders, how can he still look like himself? I don't have any sisters. You guys, please introduce yourself first. Everyone will learn from their original knowledge and only introduce their own names and identities. Yèyuè Guāng, who almost went to the marine school, sat the final piece on his lap, pressing his left and right hands on the head of Fanwai Instance and number 000. The last work with a more innocent personality heard the words, the first to raise his lil hand, and said with full vitality. Hello. Oka-san. I am the last work of the command tower of all my sisters, codenamed 20001. Yèyuè was excited about the first meeting with her mother and introduced herself. Masaka Masuzu blinked her eyes twice. At the end, I have to repeat my feelings, which is really interesting. And it feels so cute. Masaka Mireu's eyes almost showed love. It feels like returning to Makoto's childhood. Since Makoto came to Academy City and became a boarding student, she often missed this tsundere daughter. I was wondering if I was going to have a second child or something. Seeing the thoughts of his wife, Yèyuè Guāng twisted the back collar of the last work as if lifting a cat, and put her in Masaka Mireu's arms. The final work blinked, who caught the nape of my destiny. Be gentle. After Masaka Mireu became like him, she hugged the last work in her arms and rubbed it. So satisfying, feeling the amazing power of 91E, the last work keeps muttering in my heart. Can I reach this level in the future? Mother, my number is 000, you can also call me, Dolly. Compared with the innocent and directness of the final work, number 000 is more like a shy and introverted lady. Coupled with her seed and bee-eater praying for the same waist-length hair. Obviously they look exactly the same as Makoto, but they exude a completely different temperament. When talking with Masaka Mireu, she kept glances to the other side uncontrollably, not daring to look at Masaka Mireu. Wow, it feels like this Makoto is like me, it's full of the taste of a lady. Masaka Masuzu reached out his hand contentedly and put Dao Lilu into her arms, rubbing her hair with her other cheek. Advertisement, Ekazan, Makoto's tasteful tsundere yelled. What do you mean by this, anyway? I just don't look like the eldest lady at all. Although Sunspot and other classmates always say so. It's okay, Makoto, no matter how rude you are, Dad will always love you. Yèyuè Guāng hugged Makoto and pressed her chin against her forehead. Who wants it? Disgusting. Makoto pushed Yèyuè Guāng away with flushed cheeks, and shouted in embarrassment. Only the extraneous individuals were left with their heads drooping. Did not say anything. Yèyuè Guāng's big hand, slapped, on top of her head, scratching her head in a mess. Why doesn't our little sister speak? Little sister. Masaka Masuzu carefully looked at the four Makotos present, the figure most resembled her own. I was curious about the term Yèyuè Guāng used to describe her, little sister. Fanwai individual. After a while, the Fanwai individual stammered. Also, there is also the codename, 20,002. Yes, I was born the latest. Obviously he has the most mature figure among the 4 Mikoto. But in fact it is the smallest one. Big sister Yèyuè Mikoto. Second sister Dolly. The last work of the third sister. Little sister outside the individual. Squirting, this ranking is really interesting. Especially for Mikoto and the last work, the eyes of the little girl at a certain position are almost staring out of their sockets. Chapter 239 Open black lens bracket super electromagnetic gun close black lens bracket 4 sisters. Why are you obviously the smallest, but there is the largest? Yèyuè accusingly said that he was very unconvinced. The last work did not conceal the inner discomfort at all. The small index finger pointed directly at a certain position of the fanwai individual, which was very displeased. The fanwai individual lowered his head and cast his eyes, but he didn't pay much attention to this issue, and said, maybe it is to further promote the development of ability and use the effect of growth promoters. As an extra special individual who accepted the negative emotions of the sisters who were unsuccessful in coming into the world. Although the character is more aggressive and violent. But at the same time it is more slender and sensitive. Because it was supposed to be the most rude and unrestrained extraneous individual, in front of Misaka Mireyu, he appeared to be the most introverted and cowardly. After all, compared to a strong father, sometimes a gentle mother is more deterrent to her daughter. Husband, what are the identities of these children? After a heated discussion, Masaka Masuzu finally got into the topic and asked the first question. Let fanwai entity and number 000 hang their heads down with pain. Even if it was the last work full of vitality, he stopped talking and squeezed his small hands into fists. It's all my fault. At this time, Mikoto stood up and said the cause and effect of the incident with a guilty expression on his face. From beginning to end, Yèyuè Guāng also did not say a word. Not to mention the other 3 sisters. However, they both sneaked a glance at Masaka Masuzu from the corner of their eyes from time to time. They are very scared, but at the same time they have a little bit of anticipation. Masaka Mireyu no, what kind of attitude will Mikoto treat himself? If you can treat yourself like a father and treat yourself with the attitude of treating your daughter, you will go for the approval of your parents. That pair of sisters is definitely the happiest thing. But what if Masaka Masuzu disagrees? After all, only Mikoto is the meat that really fell from her. After listening to my baby girl Mikoto's explanation, Masaka Mireyu dragged the long tone, and the hearts of the 3 younger sisters were also raised in her throat. I am afraid that in the next second, I will hear from Masaka Masuzu, you are just a manufactured copy. I will not agree that you are my daughter, and the like. Those who have just gained hope of returning will fall into the darkness again. Advertisement. A few seconds later, Masaka Mireyu finally spoke, tilting the pretty face that was only in her early 20s, and said to Yèyuè Guāng. What extraneous individuals, codenames like 000 don't feel suitable for children, shall we give them new names? The 3 younger sisters were taken aback for a moment, and then involuntarily smiled from their hearts after a second. Does Kasan recognize them? Kasan. Mingwuwu. First burst into tears of joy, and threw herself into Masaka Miru's arms and cried bitterly. Yèyuè is so happy. The last work occupies the other side of Masaka Miru's arms, and golden beans are constantly falling on her warm red face. Mikoto and the fanwai entity, who had also wanted to pounce, paused. The locations are full, however, within half a second, they were embraced by another, stronger and more powerful embrace. Mikoto and the fanwai individual were taken aback. While a strong shame rushed to their hearts, they did not break free. Instead, they leaned their heads back, and more dependent love emerged. After a long period of warmth, Yèyuè Guāng and Masaka Mireyu began to discuss the names of their 3 younger sisters. The first is number 000. Dolly, my name is Dolly. Dolly held her small hand. Yèyuè Dolly. Masaka Masuzu caressed her lower cheeks, her eyes filled with maternal love. It's so cute. Yèyuè said that she wanted to call it last work. Don't want to change it. Yèyuè said very firmly to express her own thoughts. The final work was then interfaced. Yèyuè, the last work? Yèyuè Guāng chanted the name, which felt a little weird. But seeing the final work swaying against the short legs, with an expression that he had decided, there was no objection. In the end, it is Sime fanwai individual, and fanwai individuals obviously don't like the name, fanwai individuals, very much. But she herself is not very good at naming, so she tried her best to conceal her inner expectation, and she pretended to look at Yèyuè Guāng and Masaka Mireyu with a calm look. Micron. How about it? Masaka Masuzu pursed her lips and thought for a long time, then suggested. Yèyuè Guāng, how about this name? Advertisement. It feels like a fusion of my name and yours. While Yèyuè Guāng spit out, he squinted towards the outside individual. But I found that the girl's eyes were sparkling with pickups. Obviously the name is very popular. After that, you will be the 4 sisters, so get along well, Mikoto, Dolly, and Guāng in the final work. Masaka Masuzu stretched her hands and hugged the 4 sisters together in her arms, while quietly winking at Yèyuè Guāng. Yèyuè Guāng knew it, and hugged the 4 daughters from the other side. Then I am my sister, after the warmth, Mikoto said triumphantly. But when I looked down, it seems that among the 4 sisters, they are better than the last one. The triumphant eyes disappeared instantly. Eduo-sang said that he would also arrange for me to enroll, so please advise me more, my sister. Dolly took Makoto's arm. Although it was not too exaggerated, the tank that was 1 cup better than Makoto caused secondary damage to the gunner. Yèyuè is also an elder sister, hurry up and call, sister. Yèyuè forced her sister to say. The last work pointed to the Fanwai individual. No, it was Yèyuè Guāng who ordered it now. Yèyuè Guāng looked upset, but she couldn't help it, it was better. She is indeed the youngest of the 4, and she is still less than 72 hours old. In the end, when there is really no way to be entangled in the last work. Finally, he shouted, sister, with a voice not much louder than a mosquito. Okay, let's announce the birth of the new Tokiwadai chairman, Makoto, go to the broadcast room and inform those girls. After the family gathering, Yèyuè Guāng said again. Masaka Masuzu was stunned. She didn't expect Yèyuè Guāng to call herself back from Britain. Apart from the unexpected 3 daughters, there is something like this. What about the previous chairman? Although Masaka Mireyu had guesses in her heart, she couldn't help but ask. Retired on maternity leave. Hearing this answer, Masaka Mireyu and Makoto both scolded Yèyuè Guāng in their hearts. Liar, the former chairman is in his 60s, right? Chapter 245 Equal parts of Makoto. 1 day later, nearly 200 students from Tokiwadai were once again called to the auditorium. This is to announce the inauguration ceremony of the new chairman. The students learned this from Yèyuè Guāng yesterday. In addition to the former chairman of the Tokiwadai, Mionbian, the oldest instructor, took the lead in speaking on the podium. But no matter which world you are in, this kind of teaching director feels the same, with only one set of official accents in his mouth, and the following group of young girls are drowsy. However, no one knew that the instructor who was more than half 100 years old was completely soaked in cold sweat behind his professional attire at this moment. Why didn't the former chairman? The students just thought it was a normal retirement. However, others do not know, but she is quite clear. Retire. That's right, it's just that you have retired not only from school, but from the world. Next, let us welcome the new chairman. Feeling the gaze of Yèyuè Guāng sitting under the stage, Mionbian only felt that if he stood here again, he was almost fainted. I tried my best to behave like I did in the usual period, but at the end of the day, the tone still began to tremble uncontrollably. Fortunately, the students' attention was focused on the new chairman and did not pay attention to this point. Wow! Nearly 200 students clapped their hands and gave out thunderous applause. They stared directly at the curtain behind the podium, and couldn't wait to see what the new chairman looks like. In less than 5 seconds, one sheet was 9 points similar to Tokiwadai, Management King, Yasuki Makoto, but a more mature and pretty face came out of it. Wow! All the girls, even the B-eater F***ed when they saw this face. I couldn't help but exclaimed. After a few seconds, I recovered and turned his eyes to Yèyuè Guāng on the faculty seat next to him and Makoto in the student group. It seems, Minasan, good morning, I'm Masaka Mireyu, the new chairman of Tokiwadai. Well, to be precise, it is Yuzuki Masuzu. I went to university in Britain before, and now I am transferred from a university student to this school. The chairman of the board of directors, Yu Shangwei, is 91E, he is age he, I won't tell you. Masaka Masuzu wittily talked about her inconspicuous self-introduction. 91E. Advertisement. The bee-eater lowered his head silently, Baffa, and said inwardly. It's okay. Although it's better than myself at the moment, it's not difficult to surpass. Yes, it's my sister. Huh. When I saw Masaka Mirezu, who was a full-size Makoto, Kuroko, who had entered the pervert form, flushed, and a mouthful of Hirako could not resist dripping from the corner of his mouth on the floor of the auditorium. Makoto, who was not far away, saw Kuroko's pervert appearance, and almost couldn't hold back rushing over and kicking this broken fellow. Yes, is it Makoto-senpai's older sister? Wane Junbao couldn't help asking. No, I'm Makoto's mother, your teacher Yeyu's wife. Masaka Masuzu raised her slender water-white jade finger to the wine, which was playful and full of mature charm. There was another uproar in the entire auditorium. So young, and Makoto-senpai seemed to be so big. Puff puff, classmate Makoto, aren't you biological? Also in the 2nd grade, the bee-eater who was standing very close to Makoto covered the perfume, winking and mocking at Makoto. Bee-eater FK, are you looking for something? Originally, Makoto, who was most concerned about the difference between himself and his mother's chariot level, ran away directly under the ridicule of the bee-eater. Twisting her collar, she looked like a bad girl on the street. Calm down, senior sister Yèyuè, queen, are you okay? The members of the two parties, such as Pao Fu Wan Bin and Koizi Zhao Nayo, hurriedly pulled the two away. The girls really couldn't calm down for a moment. Yèyuè Guāng, sitting on the edge of the auditorium, was speechless. Ah, everyone is so energetic, so good. Masaka Masuzu on the stage was not angry and smiled full of maternal love and kindness. I will introduce you 2 new classmates, transfer students? Advertisement. Finally, Makoto and the bee-eater prayed to the 2 girls who stopped by LV5, and suddenly curious eyes rose up in their eyes. Tokiwadai rarely accepts transfer students. To become a transfer student of Tokiwadai, the conditions are often more stringent than normal admission. After marriage, Photon is only qualified as a transfer student as a person with LV4 level of grade ability. In the past, Tokiwadai refused to enroll the children of the royal family and caused diplomatic problems. Soon, Masaka Masuzu beckoned. Two girls in Takiwadai school uniforms walked from the backstage to the front of the screen one after another. Immediately afterwards, they were 90% similar to Masaka Masuzu and Makoto, and it could even be said that the two faces that were exactly the same as Makoto walked out from the back. However, even if they have the same face, the temperament exuded from them can instantly feel that they are different people. Dolly. When seeing one of the figures, the bee-eater revealed a happy smile from the heart. The females such as Fanfeng Junzi, Kuku Zoriao and others could not help showing their stunned expressions. The queen has never seen such a smile. That's not the fight with my sister yesterday. Haitsi, on the other hand, turned his attention to the extra special individuals who were wearing junior high school uniforms, but in terms of body and appearance, they looked more like high school students. These are Dolly and Mi Guāng, who were newly transferred to our Takiwadai. They were raised by me and have been studying in Britain. Now they have become part of our Takiwadai. Do you want to get along with them? Masaka Masuzu hugged Guāng and Taoli with one hand. Naturally it was impossible to tell their true identities, so she lied. It is not waiting for the students to recover from their surprise. A small and exquisite figure ran into it from outside the auditorium. After spotting Yèyuè Guāng, his short legs flew and jumped onto Yèyuè Guāng's feet, pulling his collar and complaining. Eduo-sang. The final work is so boring, Yèyuè protested with strong dissatisfaction. Four sisters. Many girls noticed that the small Makoto in Yèyuè Guāng's arms was wide open. In addition, Masaka Masuzu, who is only 20 or so visually. 5 Halves of Hinayame? Chapter 241 Heitsi's Perfect Fantasy? That night, the on-campus dormitory in Takiwadai was magnificent, and a round table dedicated to the banquet was filled with all kinds of exquisite food. It's like an open day held once a year in the daily Pantai. On this day of the year, Takiwadai will be limited to one day, and invites outsiders to visit this world-leading girls' school. To show the demeanor of aristocratic prestigious schools. Students are even asked to wear maid costumes to show off the style of Takiwadai students. But the banquet held today is naturally not for this reason. Just to celebrate the admission of Dolly and Mi Guāng. The golden light is brilliant, in the hall full of all kinds of food. Nearly 200 Tokipontai students gathered together, and the focus of attention is undoubtedly the main point of this celebration banquet. The 4 sisters of Super Electromagnetic Gun. Although Masaka Masuzu is not one of them, as the new chairman and mother of Academy Idol Makoto, she is naturally welcomed by many young girls. Especially the pair of 91s is really spectacular. Let's compare Makoto. Many Shaonizi whose bodies have begun to change quietly asked Masaka Masuzu about what she had eaten at her age. Huh, really? Is Mi Guāng actually younger than Makoto-senpai and Dori-senpai? At this time, in the crowd on the other side of the banquet, a group of girls gathered beside Guāng exclaimed in exclamation. Just now I asked the 4 sisters about the order of their age, and the answers they got shocked all of them. Yèyuè Guāng, who is the most mature in appearance and figure, is actually smaller than Makoto and Dolly. This figure is actually the smallest one? Of course, they acquiesce that the last work is the 4th sister. After all, I really want to tell the truth that the last work is the 3rd and Guāng is the 4th. No matter how stupid these Nizi are, they can see the problem. Student Guāng, may I ask you, then, does that have any tricks? Some Shaonizi who had the same problem as Makoto glanced at the D-class tanks that Guāng was hidden under the school uniform, but could not cover them, and asked quietly with a blushing face. Guāng, who is not good at communicating with people, raised her eyebrows slightly uncomfortably, and it took a long time to reluctantly come up with a perfunctory answer. A lot, drink more milk. But I also drank a lot, and it didn't feel bigger at all. Sure enough, it is inherited from the chairman, right? But Makoto-senpai and Dori-senpai are not so exaggerated. Sure enough, there are other tricks, right? Advertisement. Student Guāng, please tell us. The impenetrable beauty that was blocked by this group of Nizi seeking the secret was tangled, but did not give birth to a look of disgust. Well, everyone, don't be like this. Mi Guāng is very embarrassed. At this time, the bee-eater, who was still above Guāng, stepped up to escape the road, holding Dolly's arm next to him. Ah Queen. And classmate Dolly. Seeing the bee-eater exercise praying, all the talents scattered. It seems you like it very much, Micron. Dolly smiled. No, it's just better than a ghost place like a training cabin. Mi Guāng tried to roll her face to the other side. The bee-eater prayed over the wine and joked. Is this the so-called Tsunere? This is very similar to your eldest sister. Papa. A ray of dark purple electric light flashed from the bee-eater's golden hair. Guāng's eyes entered the hair area light. Xing eyes, do you want to fight? Ah, it doesn't seem to be. Tsunere, it's a Tsunere. After stroking the hair that was almost hit, the bee-eater did not fear and still maintained a wanner smile. Guāng, Shaoqi, don't do this. When Dolly saw this, she hurriedly stood between the two to mediate. My sister, please be with Kuroko for the next dance. At this moment, a voice filled with fanaticism and sickness that one could not forget was introduced into the ears of a few females. Turn around and look at Haitsi, you fellow, stay away from me. So many people are embarrassed to death. Makoto squeezed the Kuroko who hugged his waist with both hands, seeing more and more people looking towards him. It is difficult to suppress anger and discharge directly. Billy. Sister, love, love's spur, -0 seeking flowers, 0. Hyuga fell down with morbid contentment. Advertisement. Haha, the relationship between Makoto-san and Shirai-san is as good as ever. The bee-eater joked with praying for a sip of wine. Bee-eater FK and pray. Makoto said each other's name word by word. The rivals met, extremely jealous. Sister, please calm down, it will be difficult for us to do with fathers and mothers. Dolly, who was in the middle of the mediation for the second time, felt very tired. The relationship between her sister and her best friend seemed very bad. Too difficult. Shout, well, it seems that Dolly doesn't care about you because of her face. Makoto suppressed the irritation in his heart. Sister Taoli, please dance with Kuroko in a minute. 0 seeing that Makoto disagrees, Hyuga, who got up from the ground, hurriedly changed his goal, and hugged Dolly's slender waist, rubbing and rubbing. Ah la la, I'm sorry, I already have someone who wants to dance with. Dolly wouldn't be able to attack like Makoto, but her face was full of helpless smiles. How is this? Hyuga is so sad, and since this is the case, I can only use a warmer hug to come one. I have to say that Dolly is a perfect match for Kuroko's daily fantasy of Makoto. She has always wanted to make Makoto a perfect lady. And Dolly in front of her, whether it be her dignified words and deeds, the smiling smile on her lips at any time, or the long waist-length hair that the eldest lady is equipped with. It's completely in line with Kuroko's YY fantasy. Just when Hyuga was about to get started further. Whether it is Makoto behind him or the bee-eater next to him, FK Kai can't help but make a move. Stop it. For the first time, this pair of rivals reached a consensus, kicking Sunspot with one left and one right and kicking him directly into the air. What are those girls making trouble? Yèyuè Guāng, who was enjoying the food at the banquet, chewed the lobster meat in his mouth, and turned his head to look in the direction of the noise. Then, Teacher Yèyuè, can we dance together in the dance party? At this time, a shy voice came into Yèyuè Guāng's ears, and Chapter 242 The most precious daughter with the sound of dance music. Pairs of pairs entered the center of the lobby one after another and began to dance ballroom. But because of Takiwade's girls' school, girls and girls dance hand in hand. For example, Wane Janbao and Paofu Wanbin, Fanfang Runzi and Kwaizi Early Bird have a good relationship. It exudes a faint lily fragrance. Kuroko, who has been pestering Makoto until just now, is doing such a wishful thinking. Dancing with the elder sister in the attention of the whole school, and was further recognized by the father and mother. Guiyi, perfect plan, however, she has not yet waited for the implementation of her so-called plan. Makoto kicked Rui into the trash can. Yèyuè Guāng, the only green in the group red, has naturally become the focus of many people's attention on the March 20th. Just when many Nizi guessed whether Yèyuè Guāng would lead Misaka Masuzu or one of her 4 daughters out. But I didn't expect that Yèyuè Guāng was the first to bring it out, and it was actually a photon after marriage. In terms of appearance, although not beautiful, it is second to none. The long hair of G-style and the reddish face form an extreme contrast with the arrogant young lady's image in daily life. Nani? After marriage, that guy in the photon will show that expression? Hyuga, who had regained his feet, saw the red cheeks of Guangza after the marriage, and his eyes stared like copper bells. This guy is his second hatred guy in Takiwadai, second only to the despicable Star Eye. One of the main reasons is the temperament of the eldest lady who is showing off all the time. Of course, the temperament of Miss Photon after marriage belongs to the kind that is not disgusting, but somewhat cute. But that is from a male point of view, and in the eyes of the same S**X, it is a different kind of feeling. But Kuroko also knows that Yèyuè Guāng is the one who idolizes Yèyuè Guāng the most after marriage, quite the feeling that Hinamori Momo has towards Aizen in Shinigami. Yèyuè Guāng also had high hopes for this little Nizi, who was as old as his daughter, and taught her many fighting skills. After marriage, Photon's combat effectiveness is close to LV5. Ah, this guy in my house is quite popular with little girls. Misaka Masuzu, who was surrounded by many young girls, smiled, but her tone of voice faintly exuded danger. Mingming, Dolly puffed her cheeks, and made 2 grunts with her small face bulging. Advertisement, yo, is Dolly jealous? The bee-eater stretched out her index finger and poked Dolly in the slightly bulging cheek. No, Dolly rolled her face to the other side and hummed. Except for the last one, the other 3 have a certain degree of Tsunere attributes. No, I didn't expect the teacher would dance too. Resisting the shame, he raised his head and looked at Yèyuè Guāng's upright posture that could cover his eyes. After the marriage, Photon could hardly suffocate a word. If you live for a long time, it will naturally happen. Yèyuè Guāng shrugged and chuckled. It feels like a person who stays in a foreign country for a long time will naturally become a foreign language. After the song, Photon blushed after marriage and returned to the crowd contentedly. Just when Makoto hesitated, Dolly ran over first, hugged Yèyuè Guāng's arm and said coquettishly. Eduo-sang, dance with Dolly next. Good. Yèyuè Guāng, who was about to pull Misaka Masuzu's hand, was taken aback for a moment, but she didn't have the tearful and cute expression of her second daughter. My sister, you just follow Hyuga. At this time, Kuroko took the opportunity to launch an offensive against Makoto. Puff. However, what responded to her was Makoto's irritability. She obviously has the same face as Makoto, but with Yèyuè Guāng holding her little hand, Dao Li moves flexibly in the middle of the hall. With the waist-length hair that is comparable to the bee-eater, it always exudes an elegant golden temperament. Let the Takiwadai girls around clap again and again, exclaiming, "So elegant, so beautiful," and other words of praise. Hearing these compliments to her second sister, Makoto couldn't help pouting slightly. She would still be happy for her sister if she changed to normal. But when I saw that my sister was dancing with Odosen and received these compliments, my heart was quite uncomfortable. It is the end of another song. Advertisement. Yèyuè Guāng noticed the tangled appearance of Makoto's head down, and took the initiative to reach out and pull Makoto into the center of the hall. Yeah, Makoto, who was pulled out in a daze, was taken aback. When the reaction came, I found that the next round of dance music had already begun. When Yèyuè Guāng took his hands and stepped out of a clumsy dance step, Makoto's face flushed red and whispered, "Oh Duo-sang, I can't dance, it's okay, Dad will take you." Yèyuè Guāng took the little hand of the most precious daughter, pressed it to her ear and whispered. Even awkwardly, barely following Yèyuè Guāng's pace, Makoto looked a little bit sad and whispered, Oh Duo-sang, am I not as good as Dolly and the others? They are so careless that they don't look like girls at all." Boom. As soon as Makoto bowed his head and said this, he felt a pain in his forehead. Looking up, I saw Yèyuè Guāng looking at himself with a bad expression. Makoto panicked. It was the first time she had seen Odosen looked at herself with such an expression. Such words are forbidden to be said in the future. Yèyuè Guāng's tone was full of dissatisfaction, but more, it was kindness. Feeling the love in Yèyuè Guāng's tone, the inferiority complex deep in Makoto's heart immediately disappeared by more than 5.0, as if he had found a safe haven and shrank under Yèyuè Guāng. After Yèyuè Guāng and Makoto finished dancing, they invited the last violent girl Mi Guāng to dance again. Jumping was more stupid than Makoto, which caused the surrounding students to hold their mouth tightly to avoid laughter. In the end, the stubborn guy stepped on his feet angrily, claiming that he would never dance for the rest of his life. The height of the final work is not good enough, so I can only feed her more snacks as a comfort. When Yèyuè Guāng can finally invite his wife, the prom time is over. Yèyuè Guāng had to secretly accept a murderous attack from Masaka Mireyu. But he didn't notice. A touch of regret flashed deep in the bee-eater's eyes. Chapter 243. Masaka Masuzu. Where's my husband? Hiccup. Ah. At this time, the last work came out from there, with wings overwhelming and swaying to Yèyuè Guāng. See the jug with a strong sense of age in the opponent's hand. Yèyuè Guāng was stunned, and then he was about to pick up the other party, quite stunned. Isn't this the wine I put in the room, you girl? Speaking of the back, Yèyuè Guāng shook his head uncontrollably. Masaka Mireyu next to him was hiding the hip flask, and she didn't have a good air. Sick Nizi, I'll go back and beat you next time. The strong smell of wine poured into her nose. Masaka Mireyu, who was originally a drunkard, was immediately hooked out of 10 gluttons, and for a short time she picked up the goblet on the banquet table next to her and filled herself with it. After taking a bite, the boss of Meso opened instantly, shouting as if he found some baby. Delicious. Oh Kassen, please don't go crazy in such a place. Ever since I was young, I don't know how many times Makoto Masaka has been drunk, and Makoto suddenly has an unknown premonition. The experience of Masaka Mireyu vomiting on the floor before and letting herself and Odusan help clean up is still vivid. However, it's really delicious, let me have a bite too. Dolly stiffened her nose and poured herself a glass. Before others stopped, he had already taken lightly. This is. Dolly also constricted her pupils. Even people who don't know how to drink can taste the mellow taste. But it's not just taste. After drinking it, it gushes from the depths of the body, as if something is being opened after all. Advertisement. Nanini. What is it? Is it wine? Well, it smells good. We are underage and can't drink. Anyway, the chairman has drank it, it's nothing to taste. One after another young girls were attracted and came to this side. Just a pot of wine is not enough for these girls to drink. However, everyone was just a sip, and she was already pretty and almost fainted. Yèyuè Guāng rubbed his temples, and the last bit of sacred wine that he killed in the heavens back then was drunk by these nuns. However, the increased abilities possessed by this wine had no effect on him, so Yèyuè Guāng would not feel distressed. He clapped his hands, and the red-faced girls barely recovered. Yèyuè Guāng shouted, Okay, well, when the banquet is over, we will all go back to their respective rooms. Teacher Yi, okay. So dizzy after a few steps after the wedding, Photon suddenly jumped and almost fell to the ground. Yèyuè Guāng hurriedly reached out and caught her. Looking down again, I saw that this Nizi had fallen asleep. Like most boarding schools in Yèyuè Guāng's previous life, Takiwadai also has a mandatory light-off time. No way, you squeeze it. In the darkness, Yèyuè Guāng could only have 2 hands on each side, randomly found a room, and threw the 2 girls on the same bed. Although the black light was blind, he didn't bother to look at it with his ability. If you catch anyone, put them in the nearest room. After a few Zhao came down, finally put Makoto and Dolly, Guāng and the last one together. Advertisement. Yèyuè Guāng returned to the banquet hall, scratched his head and said to himself. Who else is coming? Mei Ling hasn't taken her back yet, so don't worry about that girl. Height C, there should be only a few left. Mei Ling, you are being drunk crazy here. When returning to the banquet hall, Yèyuè Guāng also recalled the way Makoto used to throw up when Makoto was drunk and crazy. He never wanted to experience that kind of experience a second time. Yèyuè Guāng had just finished saying this when a soft humming sound suddenly came from the right side. Yèyuè Guāng stretched out his hand and suddenly felt surprisingly soft. What kind of wine? I just drank 320 glasses of wine and I felt like vomiting. I don't know how long it took. Masaka Mireu got up from the sofa in the banquet hall. Although she didn't vomit like before, compared with other little girls who just took a sip, she drank a whole cup. When I started walking now, I felt like I would hit the wall at any time. Feeling the dark environment, crawling into his daughter's bedroom. Catching the moonlight shining through the window, I barely saw Dolly and Makoto who were sleeping and smiled like an idiot. Hey, good boy, mommy. After speaking, he rushed forward and put the two in his arms, covering Makoto and Dolly almost sleeping. After looking around the room left and right, Masaka Makoto wondered. Where's my husband? Originally, she was still mentally prepared to wake up when she was exercising by that guy. Why are you so honest tonight? However, Masaka Masuzu didn't think much about it. Holding two daughters who were about to be suffocated by her, she fell into a deep sleep. Chapter 244 B-Eater FK Prey. Divorce. Yèyuè Guāng got up very early for a simple reason. Wooming, my head hurts. The little girls who were sleeping in the whole dormitory moved their eyelids and opened their eyes one after another. And the bee-eater is Yèyuè Guāng staring with tears in his eyes, twisting the sheet with his left hand, pointing his right arm at the other party, and shouting angrily and fearfully. The bee-eater was blushing. She also drank the wine last night, but she was not drunk and delirious. Rather, it should be said that he had done that kind of thing with the help of alcohol. Although Yèyuè Guāng is a carnivorous system, why not eat the meat when you say it? And his best friend and his rival's father are dying to death. But I don't know why, it feels a little irritating. Divorce. Two words suddenly popped out of the bee-eater's mouth, making Yèyuè Guāng suspicious of his ears for a while. What did you say? The bee-eater raised his head and stared at Yèyuè Guāng with tearful star eyes, and said angrily. I said, divorce. After the divorce, when I become an adult, I will marry me. Don't make trouble. Yèyuè Guāng refused without thinking, and tapped her finger on her forehead. It seems to be comforting a child who wants a toy but can't. The bee-eater prayed that the cheeks on both sides suddenly bulged like frogs, and the calves kicked hard. I don't care. I don't care. You have to be responsible. Halfway through the splattering, the bee-eater looked stagnant and took a breath. It seems to be a wound. Advertisement. Yèyuè Guāng asked her to lean against her shoulder. It's not that we can get married together. Isn't it the same now? As soon as these words came out, the bee-eater's heart to pray for killing was all over. Son of a B***ch, isn't this is the earth, the underground lover? Who do you think of my bee-eater? But bee-eater FK Kai is really misunderstood. This is the difference in worldview. In Yèyuè Guāng's eyes, he and his relatives and spouses are immortal. Marriage back then was to please Masaka Masuzu, otherwise he would be too lazy to mention it. The bee-eater opened her mouth slightly and bit on Yèyuè Guāng's shoulder. Yèyuè Guāng didn't feel anything, but he still made a painful look. No matter, let's follow the girl's thoughts first. Just when the bee-eater prayed and strayed, Yèyuè Guāng suddenly sounded, and the thing that was sent to the General Council before hasn't moved. Forget it, help them yourself. On the other side of the school city. Known as, the building without windows, species. At present, the world's top technology is scanning the coffin that was sent by Photon after marriage and sent by Kibi Danshi 2 days ago. The top members of the General Council are all gathered here. Looking at the laboratory, a group of researchers in white coats were busy. One of the top counselors, Beiji Jimin, said distressed. Advertisement, still can't know what's in it, 2 full days. Various methods are used, whether it is heat sensing, infrared sensing, or letting people who have the ability to see through come. It is impossible to find out what the coffin was sent by the father of the revenant of the gods, by the Photon after marriage. Why don't you just open it and take a look? It won't cause us researchers to work so hard. At this time, a researcher who was also wearing a white coat, with a gray head and a face full of elderly Madara, smiled and walked to Beiji Jimin's side to ask for instructions. As long as you disassemble the spells on the surface of the coffin, you should be able to open it smoothly. His name is Kahara Kanzai, a leading brain researcher in the Academy City. At the same time, he is also the proponent of the Super Electromagnetic Gun Copy project. It's too dangerous, who knows what's in it? Beiji Jimin raised her eyebrows and objected. Another Supreme Counselor hummed with chi in the dead Bentley. Okay, I think I can open it and have a look. I have caused so much trouble for such a shit in the past 2 days. It's better to just open it and see what's inside. In the legend of the kind-faced pro-ship, the middle of the pro-ship wrinkled his eyebrows and said. Not to mention losing 2 LV5s, even Chowan has to be cautious. Bang bang bang, at the time when the two sides disagreed, the coffin cover placed in the test equipment in the research room suddenly trembled. Shocked everyone indoors and outdoors. Then it opened in full view. The lid of the coffin was shaking more and more severely, and it was almost about to open automatically. Chapter 245. Please sign for your 10 Tails gift package. The Takiwadai girls who gradually woke up from their hangover sleep gathered in the playground one after another. I don't know if it is a school celebration or some other celebration. But in fact, it was these girls who felt the strange sensation of their internal abilities and began to test their abilities on the training ground. Next to the swimming pool, Wane Jubao, whose ability is water flow operation, puts her palms on the opposite side. With the start of the capable person, the clear water in the entire swimming pool surged wildly, and under her control, it turned into a flying dragon with its fangs twisted. This is, Wane Swanbao was taken aback by himself. In the past, the limit of your ability was just to control the flowing water and use it as a vine whip to attack. That's awesome, Swanbao, can this be at the level of LV4? Pao Fu Wan Bin, two friends next to him, walked up to congratulate him. No, it's nothing, everyone. Wan Ne Swanbao smiled embarrassedly and turned his head to look at other locations on the training ground. All the students who wake up from their sleep are testing their abilities. Obviously, their abilities have been strengthened by the 320th floor. What is this above the sky, two afterimages continued to shuttle. When they collide with each other, they make an ear-splitting sound of bang and bang. The confrontation is about 5 seconds. One of the afterimages was shot down first, and the little fart drum fell to the ground. It is Shirai Kuroko. Haitsi clutched his little butt drum, and looked upwards with a grumbling expression on his face. Along with the fall of a neon Soganet 3-pronged dart, the photon flashed to the ground after marriage. Take the trigeminal kunai of the same style as Namikaze Minato and Uchiha Springs back into your hand. Holding a fan in his left hand, and holding kunai in his right hand, he said triumphantly. How? A gift from the teacher, a dvertisement, cut the fart behind the father's A*. Haitsi mumbled displeased ly, and above the sky at the other end of the training ground. Two lightning arcs, one blue and one purple, cried and collided constantly above the clear sky. Ear-piercing thunder, accompanied by a sliver of electric arc, spread over the academy into Kiwadai. It even attracted the attention of many students from the past. Okay, so awesome, is it an electric shock enabler? That direction is to Kiwadai, is it the rumored Dengeki princess? But there are two people, is it possible that Tokubantai has awakened a powerful electric shock ability again? A few minutes after the confrontation, two thunderlights, one blue and one purple, fell back to the ground. It is Dolly and Meiguang. You shouldn't be the type who is good at fighting. Micron looked at Dolly. Number 000 incredibly, although it was also named Dolly, it was actually a copy of Dolly 0. The highest ability registration is at most LV3, which is different from the complete body, made by using the latest cells of the older sister. However, it can be evenly matched with himself. What is this? Everyone is very energetic. At this time, Masaka Masuzu also walked out of the dormitory, stretched out and shouted refreshingly. Puffy in the next second, everyone suddenly heard the sound of something breaking. Masaka Masuzu's stretched waist was stagnant, and then he opened the collar carelessly, and said with a smile. Sorry, bra was broken just now, so I have to buy a new one. It's all to blame for the dead ghost who pressed himself against the wall just now to ask for it, rubbing it hard, and it was all swollen. It's so good, Baffa. The envied eyes of nearly 200 girls in Kiwadai were almost staring out. Everyone is energetic. At this time, Yèyuè Guāng also said the same words as Masaka Mireu just now, and walked out, really worthy of being a husband and wife. Also brought Makoto and the last two daughters. Advertisement. Teacher, I feel that my ability has grown a lot. The next LV5 must be me, right? The post-marriage photon who jumped in front of Yèyuè Guāng completely lost her former eldest demeanor, with her hands behind her back slightly towards the slender waist, just like an innocent girl eager to be praised. Teacher, I feel that everyone's abilities have become much stronger. What is this? Haitsi, Wane Suubao, Paofu Wandin and other girls gathered one after another. While I was excited about my ability to improve, my eyes were full of curiosity. Well, it's mainly, Yèyuè Guāng didn't care about telling his past. But the main reason is that it is troublesome and can be said for a long time. Rumble, just halfway through the conversation, the strong turbulence from the ground made everyone unable to react for a while. But the weakest girls in Kiwadai are also at LV3 level, not to mention the ability blessings obtained yesterday after several months of practice. Because at the moment of the shock, he quickly stood firm. As an ordinary person, Masaka Masuzu was pulled by Yèyuè Guāng in his arms at the first moment. What's wrong? Is it an earthquake? Haitsi looked around and said. Then, what is that? Fanfang Runzi pointed to the left side of the school and said in a daze. Others followed her fingers and looked, and the next second one or two mouths grew big. Known as the building without windows, it shatters and collapses like building blocks. One after another, milky white long arms kept sticking out from the cracks. Inside the building, the strange dough-like objects continued to expand and then expand. In just a few seconds, the iconic building of the Academy City was completely squeezed. Not to mention these girls from Kiwadai, they are the owners of the entire 7th district and even the entire Academy City. Both of them opened their eyes wide in astonishment, seeing the size of the indescribable monster, which has been increasing exponentially. Until it was about to touch the blue sky, he finally reluctantly stopped. A huge scarlet eye with Guyu slowly opened, making everyone shudder. No one noticed that Yèyuè Guāng, who was holding the last work, showed a wicked smile at this moment. Chapter 246 Palm Phase. I really saw something incomparable, Kijun. With the help of the ubiquitous stagnation loop, Alistair easily saw the monstrous figure of 10 tails. And the terrible power that can be detected without feeling. Hey, let this thing appear here, your plan is going to be reflected. Ives is a gloating attitude. It seems that the things that can surprise Alistair will make this peculiar existence feel happy. Perhaps, but things are not that bad yet. Alistair's closed eyes quivered slightly, seeming to activate some alternative plan. And Ivers was licking the corner of his mouth, looking at the huge monster entrenched in the air. The other side. The Academy City has already fallen into a certain chaos due to the appearance of 10 tails. The reason why it is certain, rather than huge, is mainly because 10 tails did not take action. Under the control of Yèyuè Guāng, 10 tails occupies the so-called windowless pavilion. After all, it is one of the most mysterious buildings in urban legends. Being shattered like this will indeed cause confusion. Dear, noting Yèyuè Guāng's eyes, Mei Ling immediately asked in a low voice with some worry. The sudden and terrifying violence made Mei Ling, a mother, subconsciously worry. Don't worry, I have everything. Yèyuè Guāng spoke softly and comforted. Although she was still a little scared, Mei Ling calmed down. Finally, it's here. Suddenly, Yèyuè Guāng looked up at a corner not far away. With the help of his powerful senses, Yèyuè Guāng clearly captured the figure. Makoto, take care of mom and other people, I'm going there. After leaving a warning to Makoto, Yèyuè Guāng disappeared suddenly. Only a crowd of people waited and stared. Really, why did you leave so quietly? Makoto expressed his dissatisfaction with Yèyuè Guāng's style. But in this way, everyone is not so worried. The man in the legend has already been out, and it is certain that the matter will be resolved satisfactorily. Advertisement, that giant, is it a manifestation of your strength? In front of Yèyuè Guāng, a human figure composed of light slowly uttered a sound. Yèyuè Guāng did not answer this question, but instead asked curiously, I didn't expect your stagnant loop to be used in this way. The light was exactly what Alistair had changed. The stagnant loop acts in accordance with a specific trajectory and procedure, constructing such a peculiar body shape in the real world. For Alistair, who needs to hide his existence, this is already the greatest degree of respect. It seems that if you don't explain it clearly, you won't communicate with me. Alistair was silent for a moment, and sighed helplessly after all. The stagnant loops converge in a human form, which seems to be the result of an advanced technology. In fact, it was Alistair's own magic. Alistair wanted to eliminate the demon gods, but it didn't mean that he would abandon the power system of the demon gods. Before destroying these guys, Alistair didn't mind using so-called magic. To put it simply, Alistair's current magic incarnation master needs to rely on the scientific mystery. For example, it's like some pseudoscience in movies. Although it is a completely impossible technology. But just add labels such as future technology and science fiction. These technologies can be named science grandiosely. Alistair's magic uses this kind of sophistry. As long as no one proves in the real world that the way his power is against science, he can use any degree of science. Really an incredible ability. Yèyuè Guāng showed an expression of interest. Yèyuè Guāng is naturally very interested in this incredible power that sounds so powerful. Forgive me, if those guys find out, my plan will be over. Alistair actually showed a rare gesture of retreat. Although this tone and attitude were deliberately made, it is enough to prove that Alistair is absolutely sincere this time. Therefore, Yèyuè Guāng soon became serious. What the hell is that big guy? Alistair asked her own question. He is the incarnation of nature, and the concept of yin and yang in the material world is certainly not in this world. Yèyuè Guāng explained briefly. Now, it was Alistair's turn to be silent. Advertisement -0 seeking flowers. 0. I seem to understand your mood just now. After a while, Alistair sighed. I want to study this kind of existence. Saying that, Alistair didn't forget his purpose. Let's not talk about it. Even if I suppressed myself to the limit, I can feel the terrifying and potential of this existence. If they don't do anything, they will be attracted. Them, in Alistair's words, naturally referred to the demon gods of the Forbidden World. These beings who have the ability to rewrite reality are also very interested in the outside. 10 tails is like an incredibly delicious fish that appeared on the shore by chance. Don't make it as if I made it out of him. After all, your subordinates didn't take care of their hands. Yèyuè Guāng didn't care much about Alistair's words. Although the demon god's combat ability cannot be measured by numerical values, Yèyuè Guāng is also strong at this level. He didn't feel that he needed to be overly wary of them. And, don't you think this is a good opportunity? Yèyuè Guāng turned around and asked back to Alistair. What does a good opportunity mean? Alistair had guessed Yèyuè Guāng's thoughts in her heart, but she still asked him. Of course it was the moment the demon god appeared. Yèyuè Guāng chuckled lightly. The glimmer in his eyes became even more triumphant. This is Yèyuè Guāng using power, and it also represents his high morale. In your words, this world is made up of different phases intersecting each other. Yèyuè Guāng said, raising his hand and waving a glow. After seeing the light, Alistair immediately showed a surprised expression. If you want to, you can understand it. That's right, the light in my hand is an aspect. Yèyuè Guāng explained casually. as if it was just showing a small snack made by hand, it flung the light aside. Although there is only a single law of light and darkness, it is indeed a phase. Yèyuè Guāng stared at Alistair, slowly said, "Do you understand? You have been so poor and earning a bloodshed, I have already begun to use countless years." And, chapter 247, the only way to rise. I admit that your strength is indeed amazing, but there is one thing you said wrong. Alistair calmed down. He said indifferently and somewhat curiously as usual, "I have nothing to pursue for power." "Oh, you said yes, that's it." Yèyuè Guāng also smiled back. At least at a certain stage, this man must have craved for strength. But his wishes are too complicated. Yamato is so complicated that he can't even determine his own goals. In other words, Alistair himself has countless dreams. It was such terrifying ambition that allowed him to reach this state. However, you don't seem to worry at all. Yèyuè Guāng asked Alistair curiously. "With you here, Academy City has become the safest place in the world." 323. Alistair didn't say anything about her compliments. This sentence is not wrong. Yèyuè Guāng, who once turned the whole world upside down, is indeed qualified to be evaluated this way. It surprised me. I thought you were going to keep calculating with me. Yèyuè Guāng smacked his tongue. Alistair's drink-off was quite surprising to him. After all, this kind of guy who has been calculating for a lifetime seldom dissipates his heart from other people. Besides, Yèyuè Guāng is not strictly speaking of Alistair's companion. After the power reaches a certain level, the resourcefulness becomes a kind of funny show like a clown. Alistair is still so indifferent. I think you must have the deepest experience of this. It seems that you understand very well, and that's right, you used to be the guy called invincible. Yèyuè Guāng simply took Alistair's words. Even though the other party has counted a lot, it can't hurt Yèyuè Guāng any bit. Alistair is also aware of this. That's why he chose to face Yèyuè Guāng with a sincere and respectful attitude. Facts have proved that Alistair's decision is very correct. Count the time, they are coming soon. Yèyuè Guāng suddenly looked towards the horizon, as if seeing something. Alistair noticed a subtle change. I just wanted to ask something, but Yèyuè Guāng stopped him. Advertisement, when I return, I will naturally answer your doubts. Yèyuè Guāng said to Alistair, but then, you have no choice. Alistair was silent. He naturally understood the meaning of Yèyuè Guāng. If Yèyuè Guāng can really use the moment when the demon god descends, he can enter the high-order aspect of this plane. Then, with his own terrifying power, it is estimated that he can instantly become the only god-like existence. At that time, it was naturally impossible for Alistair to communicate with Yèyuè Guāng from a neutral standpoint. If you really come back, how do you plan to deal with the devil? Alistair did not give his answer directly, but asked Yèyuè Guāng. The world is like a sailboat, and the person at the helm only needs one. Yèyuè Guāng said with a sense of meaning, if so, I will stand behind you. Alistair chose his position after all. As long as the demon god can be eliminated, Alistair will naturally not be unwilling. Even if it was a pity in his heart, Alistair was just a pity, he couldn't destroy the demon god himself. I hope so. Yèyuè Guāng left this sentence, then turned around and disappeared. For Alistair, Yèyuè Guāng did not trust that much. Although the other party has no reason to be an enemy of oneself. But here is the forbidden world. Various characters and powers emerge in endlessly like a doll. Alistair wants to truly make Yèyuè Guāng trust, there is still a lot to do. To time, the sky seemed to be torn apart. To be precise, it is located above the position of 10 tails, and the concept of space and time is blurred. The moment when the high-level phase connects with reality is clearly captured by Yèyuè Guāng. Hey, because I have been invincible for so long, have you forgotten even this basic vigilance? Yèyuè Guāng said helplessly. This flaw is so huge that Yèyuè Guāng immediately wondered whether this flaw was a trap left by the demon god and the others. But after confirming the authenticity in an instant, Yèyuè Guāng was able to judge. The flaw only appeared purely because of negligence. How can the kid who got the nuclear bomb button know how to set the launch procedure? Yèyuè Guāng finally understood what kind of existence these demon gods are. Advertisement, at least in the universe he lives in, the demon god has only obtained the permission to use a kind of program called God.0. They use these powers, but they cannot modify or even understand this power. It made me nervous for a while, but it was just some lucky guys who couldn't get the power of the master. Although becoming a demon god requires unimaginable preparation. However, in Yèyuè Guāng's view, it is just 2 words, this is it. Yèyuè Guāng gathered his divergent thoughts. It's been a long time, but I have to get serious. After murmured indifferently, Yèyuè Guāng acted. His body rushed towards the gap of the phase at an extremely fast speed. It only took less than 1 atomic second, and Yèyuè Guāng touched the edge of the phase. No matter how relaxed the demon gods were, they realized that something was wrong at this moment. However, it was too late. Yèyuè Guāng didn't even care about the unlucky demon in front of him. It directly violently broke the barrier between the phases. Oncoming is the sense of division from the dimension. Fortunately, Yèyuè Guāng has experienced it once before. Soon I got used to it. Here, is it the high order phase? Looking at the strange environment around, Yèyuè Guāng thought in his heart. Although it does have a completely different feeling from reality, It seems to be fundamentally different from the phase simulated by Yèyuè Guāng before. No, it's not right. This is not where I want to go, but the so-called only way, 5.0? Yèyuè Guāng found something wrong, and just as he felt something in his heart, an illusory voice appeared. The voice reminded Yèyuè Guāng, guiding him in the right direction. Come here, outsider. The voice didn't explain much, and it didn't care whether Yèyuè Guāng would follow him or not. He just wanted Yèyuè Guāng to come over, so he made such a sound. Yèyuè Guāng was puzzled. Other demon gods have been attracted by the momentum and personality of Ten Tails, so who is the owner of this voice? With a try it mentality, Yèyuè Guāng leaned towards the voice. Suddenly, time and space crossed again. Yèyuè Guāng only felt in a trance before his eyes, and then he came to a place like a garden. Chapter 248 in Eden, God is dead. It's not so much a garden as it is a park. This is the first thought in Yèyuè Guāng's heart. It is true that there is nothing wrong with the higher order aspect here, and Yèyuè Guāng feels very accurate. However, it was this appearance that surprised Yèyuè Guāng. The grotesqueness in the imagination does not exist at all. On the contrary, it is a treasured land of tranquility and peace. You came. A soft voice sounded slowly. Yèyuè Guāng follows prestige. It was a skeleton that made the sound. The skeleton looked very different from the human structure. Like the remains of an alien. Can you be the so-called god? Yèyuè Guāng's eyes narrowed subconsciously. The coercion on the opponent is unprecedented by Yèyuè Guāng. Even from his first fight, no enemy can give Yèyuè Guāng this feeling. What surprised Yèyuè Guāng even more is that the remains in front of him are genuine. This means that the opponent is not only dead physically, but even the soul has dissipated. It's already like this, isn't he still dead? Yèyuè Guāng thought in his heart. At the same time, he became vigilant instantly. Ten God. Oh, they did call me that, but that's a thing of the past. The god of the Forbidden World spoke. Without waiting for Yèyuè Guāng to ask questions, God said to Yèyuè Guāng. You must be very confused now, am I dead or not? It's a bit rude, but I do think so. Yèyuè Guāng was silent for a moment, still speaking. At the same time, he also confirmed one thing, that is, it is unlikely that there will be a conflict between him and this god. Not only because the other party has no hostility at all. It is also because the god in front of me is truly dead. The body rots and the soul dissipates. Is there no way to keep oneself? On the contrary, God asked Yèyuè Guāng back in this way. It seems that this kind of violation of cognition is not difficult for him. Yèyuè Guāng was silent. Advertisement: the opponent's realm is definitely higher than the current one. If you change Yèyuè Guāng into this state, he was indeed able to accumulate strength again and then come back from the dead, but he could not retain his self-consciousness in such a process. In the following time, Yèyuè Guāng began to communicate with this god. The content of the exchange is also casual talk. Just like a friend meeting for the first time, you can say whatever you think. When it comes to resonance, both will become excited. And some embarrassing topics will make the two of them fall into silence. Phew, it's been a long time since I talked a word. Not knowing how much time passed, God took a deep breath. His empty remains looked at the night moonlight and said, in this way, I can really pass away. Are you going to die like this? Yèyuè Guāng saw God's thoughts and couldn't help asking in a little surprise. Instead, it was Yèyuè Guāng. He would never give up his life willingly. We are not the same. I was born with endless power, and you should have gone through countless experiences. Have you come to this step? God said to Yèyuè Guāng. Yèyuè Guāng has gradually grown from a traverser to its present state. Therefore, his ambition will only grow stronger, and his desire for life is naturally infinite. Since God was born in the universe, he has the power to rewrite reality at will. The creation of the kingdom of God was nothing but a little effort for him. This led to one thing. That is the very Buddhist character of God. Although a little strange, Yèyuè Guāng had this impression of God in his mind. He didn't seem to have the thought of fighting other people at all. At least Yèyuè Guāng could not feel the aura that only fighting can bring. So, you don't need to care about my thoughts, just as I didn't persuade you to let go of killing intent. God said to Yèyuè Guāng. You should know the existence of those demon gods? Are you planning to leave them alone like this? Yèyuè Guāng asked. No matter how salty the demons are. Their influence on the real world is genuine. In the future, one of these demon gods' brains will twitch, which will cause irreversible damage to reality. This kind of thing is not impossible. In Yèyuè Guāng's view, the so-called strong men in the Forbidden World have a bad mentality. Advertisement: aren't you still there? God said indifferently. This sentence actually caused Yèyuè Guāng to blow up his hair. I won't take your mess. Isn't it fragrant to live a happy and ordinary day with my wife and daughter every day? The power of those demon gods are all very weird. Yèyuè Guāng admits that he will not lose, but fighting against such an opponent is also very boring. All in all, Yèyuè Guāng will not touch this thankless thing. Don't rush to refuse, I won't let you do it for nothing. God said to Yèyuè Guāng. After I die, this piece of Eden will also disappear, but the high-level aspects will not disappear. Upon hearing God's words, Yèyuè Guāng seemed to have guessed something. Sure enough, God went on to say, I can tell you how to skillfully use this high-level aspect. After you become the master, those children will probably not be disobedient. Yèyuè Guāng began to think. There is no doubt that the conditions given by God are very generous. Higher order phases are the core of a plane. It is not an exaggeration to say that it is a step to the sky. Yes, 323 I am a person from other worlds, can I really master you like this? Yèyuè Guāng asked God. He did not forget before entering Eden. God uses the term, outsiders, to call him. When you take over here, you will be inseparable from the higher level aspects, and the place where you are located is the kingdom of God. Moreover, for the multiverse, you are outside of the so-called world, but also in a big world. God explained to Yèyuè Guāng, the multiverse is like a doll. Eventually, there will be a greater realm that will encompass countless parallel universes. In the eyes of people in the realm of God, taking over the high-level aspect does not require any world identity. As long as you can step here, you are eligible. By the way, before I leave, I have one more sentence left for you, just treat it as my nagging one. God said to Yèyuè Guāng, the cycle of reincarnation has a beginning and an end, and one day everything will come to an end. Even the death itself will die. Yèyuè Guāng frivolous brows. This sentence seems to imply that Yèyuè Guāng, you will do the same someday. Before Yèyuè Guāng could refute, the remains of God suddenly burst into an indescribable light. Immediately afterwards, the light swept toward Yèyuè Guāng. That is God's gift to Yèyuè Guāng, his life experience and knowledge. Chapter 249 First Cycle. Eden disappeared. The paradise recorded in this Bible disappeared with the true disappearance of God. When Yèyuè Guāng opened his eyes, there was chaos around him. Even darkness does not exist. This wonderful sight made Yèyuè Guāng realize. What he sees now is the real high-order aspect. You actually rewrite this place into that kind of beautiful place. You really have you. Yèyuè Guāng smacked his tongue. Having obtained the remains of God, Yèyuè Guāng comprehended a lot of knowledge that he had never been a master. At the same time, he also understood that God's words were not warnings or prophecies. It is the truth of the universe. With the help of God's memory, Yèyuè Guāng sees many existences like God, and even countless times stronger than God. Most of them, like God, calmly faced their own demise. The few beings who were unwilling to pass away also became crazily depraved in their powerless struggle, and the final outcome might not be as good as dying happily. If you want to be truly immortal, do you have to transcend the universe? Yèyuè Guāng chuckled lightly. It's really challenging. The fighting spirit seems to be on fire again. The high-level aspect has now become the kingdom of Yèyuè Guāng. For at least hundreds of millions of years, Yèyuè Guāng does not have to worry that he will dissipate. Then the only thing he needs to do now is to realize his own power. So, did you meet a god, there, in the windowless building? Alistair, who was hanging upside down, churned a lot of bubbles. No matter who it is, after hearing such a disappearance, he will definitely be in shock. To be precise, it is God's remains, Yèyuè Guāng said to Alistair. God is dead for a few years. Alistair could not speak for a long time. Only with the tiny power remaining after death, the feat of creation can be accomplished. This kind of existence can no longer be simulated by imagination. In this way, it also explains why no one sees the true face of God. Alistair let out a sigh of emotion. God himself is dead. The so-called records in the Bible are nothing but deeds of God in that mysterious state. Advertisement. Even if you can really see God, the appearance of the remains will collapse those self-proclaimed devout believers. Then you got a gift from God, what do you plan to do? Alistair quickly calmed down. Now that God has definitely passed away, then spend energy on him again. For Alistair, it is definitely not worth the loss. My plan has already begun. Yèyuè Guāng chuckled. The turmoil originally caused by Ten Tails has been wiped out by Yèyuè Guāng with his own power. Otherwise, Alistair would not be floating in front of him as usual at this moment. The demons have been imprisoned by me in their own aspect, completely far away from reality. Yèyuè Guāng said to Alistair. Alistair raised his eyebrows and asked, however, the influence of their aspect on this world still exists. If the demon god is truly imprisoned, then reality will definitely change. At least superpowers and magic, there is absolutely no possibility that they still exist as they are now. I understand your worries, but wiping them out so bluntly will cause severe damage to the world. Yèyuè Guāng said to Alistair. It takes at least 3 cycles to gradually reverse the reality. 3 cycles? Upon hearing Yèyuè Guāng's words, Alistair said softly in confusion. Yes, the first cycle has already begun. Yèyuè Guāng raised his hand and showed Alistair the appearance of the world. An earth in the palm appeared in Yèyuè Guāng's hands. Alistair can clearly recognize that the earth in Yèyuè Guāng's hands is the planet he is on. Not a projection, nor a model, it's the true earth. With such a weird space-time ability, Alistair also temporarily lost the ability to think. But soon, the changes on the earth caused Alistair's attention to change. The phases of the demon gods were superimposed on each other, causing the entire real world to become riddled with holes. But under the influence of Yèyuè Guāng, these aspects gradually stabilized, and even began to merge with the whole world. This is the first cycle. It is not to clear the aspects of the demons, but to integrate them with reality. Yèyuè Guāng said his way. Because of the existence of aspects, people's spirits are also affected without being aware of it. This is also the reason why the people in the Devil's Forbidden World are so vulnerable. Advertisement in Yèyuè Guāng's first plan is to eliminate these effects. When the cycle is completed, people's souls will not be affected. At that time, the second cycle will begin. Yèyuè Guāng said to Alistair. What is that? Alistair asked subconsciously. But I saw Yèyuè Guāng smile mysteriously, and then put away the earth in his palm. The answer, just wait for you to see it with your own eyes. After that, Yèyuè Guāng turned around and disappeared. Only Alistair was left alone in endless silence. That guy really got terrible power. Ives, who was hiding in the dark, finally appeared around Alistair. Perhaps out of basic instinct, Ives did not dare to approach Yèyuè Guāng. After all, a true god who possesses human emotions, Ives feels that his unbeatable character is very likely to be educated. Therefore, when Alistair talked with Yèyuè Guāng, he kept quiet. Even if he knew it, Yèyuè Guāng had already noticed himself. But still staying aside dutifully. Yes, in this way, any plan is meaningless. Alistair took a breath. I'm afraid this good period of time is the time when he sighed the most. Then, what are you going to do? Do you want to give up? Ives asked Alistair. Hearing that, Alistair's tone seemed to bring a rare blood. He said to Ives, it is impossible to give up, but the goal of the plan has changed. What are you going to do? I came interested. Rather than listening to others telling about the beauty of the scenery, it's more interesting to see it with your own eyes, isn't it? Alistair said intentionally. Ives opened his eyes wide, and burst out laughing in the next second. Ha ha ha, it's rare for someone like you to have such a strong hunger. Then, let me help you. After talking with Yèyuè Guāng, Alistair was naturally unwilling to stay in the present world. Since the demon god has been restrained by Yèyuè Guāng, he has nothing to worry about. Chapter 250. Do you want to practice with me? Most intellectual creatures often complain about the injustice of the world. This is a negative emotion that cannot be avoided by any existence. But in Yèyuè Guāng's view, the entire universe is very fair. Because he has no so-called justice to any existence. It is a genuine, equal treatment. Nearly a month has passed since the riots caused by 10 Tails. People have gradually become accustomed to the world of the first cycle. Although they have no idea when the so-called cycle started. Except that the fragile heart gradually became stronger, there seemed to be no change. Oh, the summer vacation is finally about to begin. Baijin Kuroko stretched out in the dormitory. Hearing that, Makoto was a little curious and asked, you can say such things. According to Shirai Kuroko's style, she would definitely not say such words full of irritability. Somehow, I always feel like I was too serious in the past. Hearing Makoto's words, Shirai Kuroko tilted her head and thought. I always feel that she seems to have gotten a bit of a horn in the past. 323 Actually, it's not just Shiraishi. Most people in the entire world began to reflect on their past self. Because of the influence of the devil's aspect, people's souls began to be distorted and their emotions became extreme. Such influence gradually disappeared after Yèyuè Guāng was upgraded to God. This scene happened. As for Makoto, because she is too close to Yèyuè Guāng. As a result, she has never been affected by the demon god either after the cycle started or before. Really, it seems that you have also reflected on it a little bit. Makoto's mouth twitched. She didn't know what was going on, and thought Shirai Kuroko was reflecting on her pervert herself. But, my love for my sister will never change. Taking advantage of the gap exposed by Makoto, Shirai Kuroko launched his own surprise again. Of course, it was powered down by Makoto. Really, I shouldn't expect anything from you. Seeing Shirai Kuroko who was twitching constantly on the ground, Makoto shook his head helplessly. After a fight, Baijin Kuroko finally retreated from that funny state. My sister, do you have any BAFA calculations this holiday? Shirai Kuroko asked Makoto, planning, advertisement. Hearing this, Makoto's thoughts also turned. With both Yèyuè Guāng and Yu Mailing present, she really couldn't think of anything that must be done. I don't know, I have no plans at all. Makoto simply shook his head and said to Shirai Kuroko. It's really my sister's style. The corners of Baijin Heitzi's mouth twitched a few times. Compared with Mei Guang and others, Makoto, who is the eldest sister, is most like a younger sister. Even sometimes, the final work is a bit more mature than her. Of course, Shirai Heitzi dare not say these words. Makoto was so angry that even Kuroko couldn't bear the electric shock he released. In that case, do you want to meet a few friends with me? Shirai Kuroko said to Makoto. Friend? Yes, I have a good friend in the Commissioner for Discipline and Discipline, usually. Heiko Shirai slowly said the matter. I really admire Miss Lee in the early spring, and I have long wanted to meet Makoto. I can only say that this obsession is definitely from the bottom of my heart. The cycle started by Yèyuè Guāng is a kind of reincarnation that can make people resolute and affect the whole world. People who are originally weak will be agitated from the bottom of their hearts. Those who are determined will become more determined. This can be regarded as Yèyuè Guāng's repair of this battered world. In that case, it's okay. Makoto didn't think much. She always likes to make friends, and although Baijin Kuroko usually looks unreliable, he is still very good alone. If you can become friends with her, it's certainly not a bad person. After hearing Makoto's consent, Shirai Kuroko contacted Chuharu Shiri. The two made an appointment to meet each other. Hi, the summer vacation is finally about to begin. Zuo Tianlizi yelled happily, then he skillfully lifted up the skirt decorated with Li in the early spring. Sao Zuo Tian, why do you want to lift my skirt at the beginning of the summer vacation? Chuchen Shili let out a soft scream. Hey, sorry, I think this is the only way to celebrate the summer vacation. Zuo Tianlizi said insincerely. Advertisement in the early spring. Shili was unwilling to mumble a few times like a hamster. However, her character is very gentle, and she has become accustomed to such actions as sat in Tirko. I didn't care anymore soon. Really, today is an appointment date, please don't lift my skirt at that time. Chuchen Shili said helplessly, if the skirt is lifted in front of Makoto. Just thinking about the scene, Chuchen Shili is about to faint. Ah, but we probably won't be friends. When Zuo Tianlizi heard Chuchen Shili's words, he obviously said absent-mindedly. This tone made Chuchen Shili curious. Student Zuoshin, why do you say that? The other party is the LV5 super electromagnetic cannon, right? How can an incompetent like us become friends with her? Zuo Tianlizi said of course, in the Academy City, hierarchy is the root of everything. The disparity in grades like this means that they can't have any intersection at all. No, I get along well with Shirai-san, Satin-san, you think too much. The early spring decoration of Li naturally retorted. She also had such concerns at the beginning, but since it is the existence that people like Shirai and Kuroko are obsessed with, it must be very gentle. This is the thought in Chuchen Shili's mind, it can only be said that she was half right. Although the person is nice, Makoto has nothing to do with the word gentle. Zuo Tianlizi waved his hand, apparently not listening to Chuchen Shili's words. But just when the two were planning to meet Shirai Kuroko, a man stood in front of them. May I ask you are? Feeling that the man's purpose was the two of them, Chuchen Shili couldn't help but ask curiously. This girl, I see your bones are surprised, do you want to be my disciple? Unexpectedly, the man didn't plan to talk to Chuchen Shiri, but said seriously to Zuo Tianlizi. Because things were too weird, Zuo Tianlizi subconsciously uttered a question. On the other side, Shirai Kuroko and Makoto, who had already been waiting at the appointment place, were a little strange. Really, why is early spring so slow? Baijing Kuroko slapped her cheek and said boredly. Chapter 251 Optimistic, my action? Maybe something happened temporarily, right? Makoto said indifferently, isn't your friend a disciplinary committee? This situation is also very common, right? No, I and Chuchen are partners. If she has something to do, I should know. Shirai Kuroko explained to Makoto. Makoto nodded. Then he didn't care much. After another period of time, Chuchen Shili and Zuoshin Lizi still didn't mean to appear. Baijing Haitsi was a little worried, she immediately called Chuchen Shili. Early spring, where are you now? Heiko Shirai asked Chuchen Shili. Unexpectedly, Chuchen Shili on the other side of the phone's tone was a little anxious. She said to Shirai Kuroko, no, it's not good, Shirai-san, Satin-san. Hearing the words of Chuchen Shili, Shirai Kuroko immediately stood up and said, did your friend have an accident? Makoto, who was sitting opposite, also got serious. Not really. Anyway, the situation is very complicated, we can't get there for a while. Early spring decorated Li faltered and said, it seems that she can't explain the specific situation clearly. Before Baijing Kuroko could ask clearly, the phone was hung up by Chuchen Shili. It seems that something is going on over there. Really, isn't it even more worrying? Baijing Kuroko shouted helplessly, it's not too late, let's go look for it. Makoto said decisively. Rather than waiting aimlessly, Makoto is still more inclined to attack on his own. Then, do you want to inform your father? Baijing Kuroko asked subconsciously. Yèyuè Guāng's invincible temperament will make people around him subconsciously produce a psychology of dependence. But Makoto obviously didn't intend to do this. If you call dad, it is estimated that those people will be dealt with, and why do you call dad? Makoto recovered, and once again charged Shirai Kuroko to death. After being so disturbed by Shirai Kuroko, the tense atmosphere has weakened a lot. Makoto used the characteristics of his own ability to find the position of Chuchen Shili in the telephone network. But after Shirai Kuroko used her space ability to bring them all there, they found that things seemed completely different from what they had imagined. Advertisement, run, run. How can you surpass the limit like this? I saw Yèyuè Guāng facing Zuoshin Lizi, who was about to be tired, inspiring. And Zuo Tianlizi was out of breath panting on the playground. It seems to be doing some kind of physical training. Why, Dad will appear here, Makoto muttered silently. The whole person gradually relaxed. At least with Yèyuè Guāng, it is impossible for anything dangerous to happen. No more. Zuo Tianlizi let out a mournful cry, and fell weakly to the ground. Yèyuè Guāng went up and poked with his hand, but Zuoshin Lizi didn't react at all. The physical strength is completely bottomed, it seems that the road is still long. Hearing Yèyuè Guāng's evaluation of himself, Zuoshin's tears couldn't hold back. She looked at Yèyuè Guāng with teary eyes. I have really tried my best to run. Is anyone here to tell me what happened? Seeing what looked like a scene in a funny comic, Makoto said with twitching eyes. At this time, Yèyuè Guāng looked at Makoto. Huh? Makoto, don't you have to go to class? It's the summer vacation starting today. Dad, if you were a teacher, don't you even care about school holidays? Don't worry about that kind of little things. It's not a trivial matter. Capability development? A group of people came to a coffee shop and explained the ins and outs of the matter clearly. Hearing Yèyuè Guāng's words, Makoto couldn't help making a puzzled voice. Yes, it's capacity development. Yèyuè Guāng nodded. She has an incredible talent. Zuoshin Lizzie, who was drinking the juice to recover his strength, also put down the cup in his hand at this time. She said with some doubts, "Excuse me, is it really possible to develop abilities in that way?" "Of course it is true. Do I have to lie to you?" Yèyuè Guāng said to Zuoshin Lizzie. Zuotian Lizzie could only laugh a few dryly and couldn't reply. In fact, she is still confused in her head. Although it was the first time we met, Zuoshin Lizzie felt that Yèyuè Guāng's words were very credible. This kind of inexplicable trust, even Zuotian Lizzie himself didn't know what was going on. Of course, the same is true for Lee in the early spring. Advertisement -0 seeking flowers. 0 otherwise, she would definitely let Bai Jinghaitse call for reinforcements on the phone call that Bai Jinghaitse had previously contacted. But, my father, it's just normal running, no matter how you look at it. Bai Jinghaitse asked without evasiveness. I said you want me to correct you a few times. Makoto was the first to explode his hair and used a tattoo on Shirai Kuroko. But judging from the happy face of Shirai Kuroko, it is estimated that the welfare component is greater. I don't understand you at all when I see you. Yèyuè Guāng laughed mysteriously, and his eyes became mysterious. This tone made all the 4 little girls serious. Well, I will show you a demonstration myself, Yèyuè Guāng said, and stretched out his hand to the side. A space-time wormhole appeared suddenly, and then disappeared without a trace. What was that just now? As a person with the space system ability, Shirai Haitse instantly realized what it was. Don't mind, it's just a little trick. That's not like something you don't need to care about. Baijin Kuroko shouted, follow the deduction of Academy City. To be able to create space-time wormholes, at least the level of LV5 is required. Yèyuè Guāng ignored Baijin Haitse's gaffe, and put the things he took out into Zuoshin Lizzie's hands. What is this? A high-speed camera will be very useful next. Yèyuè Guāng taught Zuoshin Lizzie how to use this camera. Then he pointed to a store that was nearly 2 kilometers away. There is a souvenir of Mr. Gutai in that store. I will bring it over later. You have to take a good photo with the camera. Yèyuè Guāng said. The whole person suddenly became blurred. Everyone was too late to react to what happened. I saw Yèyuè Guāng throw a small ornament of Mr. Gutai to Makoto. Here, this is what you missed last time. Dolly told me about it. My baby girl is naturally going to be loved. Who likes it? Obviously just an amphibian. With that said, Makoto obediently put away the ornaments. Mr. Yèyuè, did you use space power just now? Chuchen Shili asked curiously. And Chapter 252 Start practicing. Of course not. Tears, you had a good video just now, didn't you? You can see if you look at it. Yèyuè Guāng said to everyone. The various technologies of the Academy City are all well developed. Although high-speed cameras are not large, their performance is much stronger than those of large cameras. Therefore, Yèyuè Guāng's figure, which is infinitely close to the speed of light, was also well recorded by the camera. Despite having used the slowest speed to observe, Yèyuè Guāng's figure was still like a bolt of lightning. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, the 4 of them couldn't imagine that someone could be so fast. How is it possible? Baijin Haitse said blankly. This speed is simply faster than the space ability. The other 3 were also in shock. Human reaction speed, even if it is the fastest, takes 0.1 second, which is the buffer time required by the brain to control the body. Yèyuè Guāng suddenly began to popularize science. In other words, it takes at least 0.1 second for a person with high spatial ability to perform spatial transfer. Really? Baijin Haitse said unwillingly. After thinking about it, she found that she had no advantage at all in front of Yèyuè Guāng. The speed of the other party has surpassed the limit of human beings. Even with the space ability, there is no way to have any resistance in the face of such extreme speed. Tears, although you don't have any superpowers now, you have such potential in your body. Yèyuè Guāng said to Zuoshin Lizzie. Zuoshin Lizzie was shocked by Yèyuè Guāng's words. She pointed to herself blankly and said, I can really do this level? I have never had any superpowers, but now I am suddenly told that I have great talents. Zuotian Lizzie couldn't think too much. Of course, why should I deceive you? Yèyuè Guāng encouraged Zuoshin Lizzie. But at this time, Makoto on the side was talking. Dad, have you become so weird lately? Makoto said to Yèyuè Guāng. Yèyuè Guāng couldn't help but became curious. Am I strange? It's not that strange, but it feels more reliable than before. Makoto scratched his head and could only describe it like this. Advertisement. Yèyuè Guāng couldn't help but show a dumbfounded expression. His current vision has improved, and his realm has undergone earth-shaking changes. The whole person will naturally change in temperament. But this change is not a bad thing, so Yèyuè Guāng didn't care. Unexpectedly, it was noticed by Makoto. That said, your mother seems to have asked this too recently. Yèyuè Guāng let out a breath. As the person with the deepest relationship with Yèyuè Guāng, Mei Ling naturally discovered the changes in Yèyuè Guāng. But my husband suddenly became a lot more kind, which should be a good thing in Mei Ling's view. After all, the thinking of Yèyuè Guāng's Naruto World before seemed to people in this world to be a bit domineering. After all, it was a little thing, and Makoto just talked about it casually. Everyone's topic returned to how to help Zuo Tianlizhi improve his abilities. Although that ability mainly depends on physical fitness, if the physical fitness is unqualified, it will be dangerous. Yèyuè Guāng said to Zuo Tianlizhi. Zuo Tianlizhi nodded. That's how it is, so do you have to run all the time? Another point is to let Zuo Tianlizhi get used to the feeling of running. Unlike Makoto, who possesses the blood of gods, to reach the realm of extreme speed, Saturn Tirko must put in a lot of effort. That's right, you must exercise your body very well, otherwise you won't be able to master the power. Yèyuè Guāng said to Zuo Tianlizhi. As for whether Zuo Tianlizhi will give up, Yèyuè Guāng has never thought about it. Saturn Lazy's character is like the wind, and running is the most suitable ability for her. If you can train your speed to ultimate, you can even touch the boundaries of time and space briefly. Okay, I'm going to train from tomorrow. Seeing hope, Zuo Tianlizhi will naturally not give up. Yèyuè Guāng doesn't even need to cheer up, she is already enlightened by herself. But at this moment, Chuchen Shili spoke up. Well, if you keep exercising, Saturn-san's muscles will become very developed, right? With a simple sentence, Zuo Tianlizhi was stunned. For a girl like her, muscularity is hard to accept. No way? Yèyuè Guāng was also stunned. He really didn't expect that Zuo Tianlizhi would be entangled for this reason. Then, will the muscles really become that way? Advertisement. Zuo Tianlizhi quickly asked Yèyuè Guāng. If there is a change, there will be naturally, after all, the strength will increase. Yèyuè Guāng said to Zuo Tianlizhi, but it won't change very exaggerated, after all, at such a speed, it is impossible to run out with the body alone. Hearing Yèyuè Guāng's assurance, Zuo Tianlizhi was finally relieved. After that, she officially agreed to Yèyuè Guāng to learn the speed ability. If I knew it, I wouldn't agree, Zuo Tianlizhi shouted loudly on the playground. Next to her is Yèyuè Guāng, who constantly supervises her training. Now it's too late to say this. Hurry up, run faster. Yèyuè Guāng scolded mercilessly. Tianlizhi had to speed up as much as possible. In the distance, the others looked at Zuo Tianlizhi with pity. You know it's summer vacation now. Academy City is a modern city with extremely high density. The temperature and the intensity of the sun above the playground are unbearable even for men. It is not easy for Tianlizhi to persist until now. Dad, he's serious. Makoto's surprised voice was much lower. After all, Yèyuè Guāng's attitude towards her since Makoto's memorial began to be absolutely spoiled. Even Makoto saw this stern 5.0 look for the first time. Although everyone felt distressed about Zuo Tianlizhi, no one went up to bother him. Acquiring ability is Zuo Tianlizhi's wish. She clenched her teeth and persisted, which proved her determination. At the moment when Zuo Tianlizhi approached her limit, her body changed. In the eyes of Makoto and others, Saturn Tirko seemed to be blurred for a moment. In the next second, her figure appeared in the audience a few hundred meters away. Student Zuoshin, are you okay? Chuchen Shili stood up and shouted worriedly. The current Zuo Tianlizhi slumped over the auditorium. Although the look on his face was painful, there was no physical injury. Do you remember the feeling just now? Yèyuè Guāng came to Zuo Tianlizhi's side, leaned over and said to her. Chapter 253 Nightmare of Sisters. It seems, I can't remember it. Zuo Tianlizhi stood up from the ground with a grin. Although he was not injured, such a hard hit still made the thin-skinned Lizhi a little bit uncomfortable. After all, it's the first time to enter that state, and it's normal to not get used to it. Yèyuè Guāng said to Zuo Tianlizhi. I will come here to train every day from now on, do you know? Huh, I see. Zuo Tianlizhi opened his eyes wide, but he could only agree. Although the training process made her very tired, in order to gain the ability, Zuo Tianlizhi had to go all out. Chuchen Shiri and others, who were worried about the safety of Tianlizhi, were sent over by Shirai Kuroko. Student Zuoshin, are you okay? Chuchen Shili stepped forward anxiously, checking the body of Tianlizhi. Zuo Tianlizhi was itchy all over by the actions of Ji Li in the early spring. Can't help but say, okay, I'm fine. In the early spring, Shi Li slowly relaxed. However, it seems to be starting to feel uncomfortable now. Zuo Tianlizhi's eyes flashed with a gleam and suddenly changed his statement. The innocent early spring decoration of Li was naturally easily deceived by Zuo Tianlizhi. 10. No way. What's uncomfortable with Zuoshin classmate? Seeing Chuchen Shi Li's anxious look, Zuo Tianlizhi suddenly smirked. Immediately afterwards, her hands turned into lightning proficiently, and she suddenly lifted the skirt decorated with Li in the early spring. Ming. Today is the bear style. I feel that the fatigue on my body has disappeared. Zuo Tianlizhi laughed triumphantly, then turned around and ran away. Only the blushing Chuchen Shili was left in the same place, waving his fists incompetently and furiously. Their relationship is really good, Makoto said dubiously. In these two people, she saw the appearance between herself and Shirai Kuroko. It's just that, compared with Shirai Kuroko, Satin Liko is already normal. Thinking about it, Makoto glanced at Shirai Kuroko next to him. It was found that she had already begun to gain momentum. In this way, this summer vacation is quite fulfilling for everyone. Until one day, Yèyuè Guāng found Yèyuè Guāng with his last work. The expressions on their faces don't look good either. What's wrong? Seeing this, Yèyuè Guāng suddenly became serious. Advertisement. Although they are clones, these, Sister Yèyuè, are undoubtedly their own daughters. My father, my sister and I always see weird things these days. Yèyuè Guāng's expression was a little disturbed. This made Yèyuè Guāng touch her head subconsciously. Yèyuè Guāng leaned against Yèyuè Guāng, and then continued. Not only me, but my sister also saw those in my dreams. Those what? Yèyuè Guāng asked. Although it is possible to read Micron's mind directly, Yèyuè Guāng does not intend to do that. Now all, Sister Yèyuè, are no different from normal people. It's a pity that cute mouth addiction has disappeared. Those nightmares where all the sisters were killed. The last work also fell into Yèyuè Guāng's arms and said to him. Nightmare, I see. Yèyuè Guāng touched the heads of the two good daughters. Soothed the fear in their minds. I will investigate this matter and then I will leave it to my father. Yèyuè Guāng said to them. With Yèyuè Guāng's guarantee, Yèyuè Guāng and the last work finally calmed down. Naturally, nightmares cannot be true. Yèyuè Guāng had already used his power to rewrite the reality that his sisters were killed when the cycle began. However, the nightmare of Micron and the last one cannot be underestimated either. The relationship between the two of them in Yèyuè network is too close. After comforting the two and asking them to find Makoto, Yèyuè Guāng turned around and came to Alistair. You will come here, it seems that something happened. Alistair was a little surprised, although it is no longer hostile to Yèyuè Guāng. But for his own reasons, Alistair is also reluctant to have anything to do with Yèyuè Guāng. Similarly, Yèyuè Guāng does not bother to find Alistair on weekdays. Only this time, Yèyuè Guāng wants to confirm something. If you want to figure out something, can you just do it? I am not the kind of person who abuses my ability. If I do that, I will lose control sooner or later. Yèyuè Guāng has a clear understanding of his abilities. That power is too invincible. If you don't have enough realm, it's better not to act recklessly. Really, then why did you come? Advertisement. Alistair asked Yèyuè Guāng. Sister's experiment, have you stopped? Yèyuè Guāng narrowed his eyes. If Alistair dared to lie, he didn't mind letting him disappear now. I don't know what role I am in your eyes, but one thing is that I will not do this kind of self-defeating thing. Alistair said to Yèyuè Guāng without hesitation. He likes to calculate without falsity. But if the other party is God, who can distort reality and create time and space at will. Alistair categorically didn't dare to do this, because the so-called calculation is meaningless in front of such a strong person. If the other party is upset, they can restart the time. How can I play this? That's good. There seems to be some problems with the mental health of my sisters recently, and I'm investigating the cause. Yèyuè Guāng said to Alistair, since it's not yours, then I will leave first. If you need help 327, just ask me. Just before Yèyuè Guāng left, Alistair said so. After Yèyuè Guāng's figure completely disappeared, Alistair gradually became calm. He seems to be very exposed. Didn't know where he got out of, and said to Alistair with yin and yang strangely. He has the qualifications to be an instrument, but if Sister Yèyuè's mental condition goes wrong, it will also affect my plan. Alistair seemed to be talking to himself, but Ives knows that he has now begun to think about the current countermeasures. At this moment, Ivor's expression was stunned. Alistair naturally saw the appearance of Ives. Is there anything worth paying attention to? Alistair asked. It seems that something interesting has appeared. I guess that person has discovered it now, right? Ives smiled cheerfully on his face, then he disappeared on his own. And that person, in Ivor's words, naturally refers to Yèyuè Guāng. The moment he left the building without windows, Yèyuè Guāng noticed the occurrence of the abnormality. This position should be in District 12. As soon as Yèyuè Guāng moved his body, he immediately appeared over the 12th school district. This is the place where some theological schools in the Academy City are concentrated. Therefore, the style is quite different from other school districts. Chapter 254 Grievance Aggregate. But now Yèyuè Guāng naturally has no time to care about these things. The invisible energy intensified, and the emotion contained in it is called hatred. Even if you don't need to deliberately perceive it, you can still detect it. The students around began to flee in horror, completely afraid to stay in this place. It's not just because of the vibration produced by this energy. There is also the invisible effect that hatred has on them. Is this what they call a nightmare? Yèyuè Guāng thought so in his heart. Soon, this energy is no longer satisfied with just affecting people's emotions. Finally, it penetrated from under the ground. It was a disturbing dark red. That energy is formed by the aggregation of exaggerated negative energy, and ordinary people just wait and wait, which is enough to be very severely affected. Seeing the energy in front of him, even if Yèyuè Guāng was unaffected, uncomfortable emotions gradually appeared in his heart. Yèyuè Guāng also wanted to analyze the form of this energy, but the energy took the lead in action. This energy began to gather frantically, and gradually appeared in a human-sized body. Looking at the figure in front of him, Yèyuè Guāng muttered in surprise. How could it be like this? The silhouette of the figure is clearly carved out of the same mold as Makoto. I didn't expect such a thing to happen. Yèyuè Guāng couldn't help frowning. Obviously he has changed the original destiny of his sisters, but as a result, there have been resentments that did not exist, and even more exaggerated. This is definitely not the resentment in the hearts of the sisters, but another kind of Yèyuè Guāng that has not yet clearly existed. Yèyuè Guāng thought so in his heart. At this point, Yèyuè Guāng did not intend to block the concentration of energy in the fence. Even if this resentment appeared in a physical form, it could not be Yèyuè Guāng's opponent. This is the absolute confidence of Yèyuè Guāng, who is the strongest echelon in this universe right now. Finally, that energy completely turned into Makoto's appearance. Not only the face, but even the clothes are the standard school uniforms of Tokiwadai. The resentment aggregate closed its eyes tightly and looked extremely quiet. However, Yèyuè Guāng can feel what kind of distorted emotions are hidden under this appearance. In an instant, the resentment aggregate suddenly opened its eyes. The monstrous anger flickered in those pupils, as if it could never dissipate. Immediately, those eyes fixed on the only existence in her field of vision. Advertisement that is Yèyuè Guāng. The look in your eyes is really unpleasant. Yèyuè Guāng frowned slightly. Even though he knows that the other party is not good at it, he is not even a human being. But making this gesture against Makoto's face made Yèyuè Guāng naturally very upset. However, it is naturally impossible for the resentment aggregate to care about Yèyuè Guāng's views. It directly attacked Yèyuè Guāng. In an instant, the sonic boom sounded loudly. The resentment aggregate's attack was comparable to that of a high-speed train, and it hit Yèyuè Guāng's face. Such an attack is naturally impossible to harm Yèyuè Guāng at all. However, Yèyuè Guāng was completely in a state of combat. It seems that I have nothing to say to you. Yèyuè Guāng stared into the eyes of the resentment aggregate. In those eyes, there is no reason at all. Then there is nothing to hesitate. Yèyuè Guāng pinched the wrist of the resentment aggregate. In her somewhat surprised eyes, she made a heavy counterattack. I saw the resentment aggregate smashed into the ground at twice the speed it rushed over. One hit, but Yèyuè Guāng did not stop. The resentment aggregate wanted to struggle to stand up, but was kicked in the abdomen by Yèyuè Guāng again. The solid road can no longer withstand the attack of Yèyuè Guāng. With the resentment aggregate, Yèyuè Guāng directly smashed into the sewer system of Shuiyuan City. Being hit twice by such a huge force, the resentment aggregate obviously showed an unbearable appearance. It whimpered and rolled on the ground. The voice sounded like some kind of beast. Yèyuè Guāng did not show any mercy, and walked straight towards the resentment aggregate. I will keep beating you until you can't move at all. Yèyuè Guāng said coldly to the resentment aggregate in front of him. At this moment, the resentment aggregate looked at Yèyuè Guāng. It's not his opponent, you must leave quickly. Yèyuè Guāng saw this thought in his eyes. Have a basic judgment of the situation? It seems that it is not just a mere beast. While the resentment aggregate is observing the night moonlight, Yèyuè Guāng is also evaluating its extent. Advertisement: the resentment aggregates acted. Its legs arched instantly, and then jumped toward it with all its strength. The ground is directly pushed open by its body. Yèyuè Guāng ignored the sewers that were beginning to tremble, but chased them towards the resentment aggregate. Seeing that he couldn't escape Yèyuè Guāng's tracking, a ruthless expression flashed across the eyes of the resentment aggregate. It stopped flying, but curled up. Immediately afterwards, he changed from the appearance of a human back to an energy sphere. Feeling the energy contained in it, Yèyuè Guāng immediately developed a stand. A moment later, a dark red explosion swept across the entire 12th school district. 3 days later, it was located at a nearby office of the Commissioner for Discipline and Discipline. An impatient student is answering what he has said countless times. I have told you several times, can you let me go? The Commissioner of Discipline and Discipline, who was in charge of the inquiry, also shook his head helplessly. No, what you said is too weird. Even if we trust you, the scientists above will not believe it. But it's really like that. The student was a little excited and said, I really saw it. A man restored the entire 12th school district. I'm sorry, but please describe the scene carefully. The discipline committee can only speak in business. In fact, okay Zhao, there have been many witnesses like this student in the past few days, and they have all seen the same thing. Even this Commissioner for Discipline and Discipline is somewhat fed up with such repeated investigations. Oh well, you have to remember clearly, the student sighed helplessly. However, it can only cooperate with the investigation of the Commissioner of Discipline. Who makes his ability level not high? At that time, I was in class, and as a result, there was a violent shock outside. The student began to speak slowly. In the beginning, I didn't care much. I just thought that there was an agency nearby that was testing the capacity. Such things are very common in the Academy City. After all, quite a few abilities have the ability to cause shocks. However, after the dark red light appeared, everything changed. The student seemed to be thinking of something I was afraid of, and his tone changed suddenly. Even the body became tense. Chapter 255: Enemies from Outside. Dark red light. The Commissioner for Discipline and Discipline, who noticed this sentence, immediately became serious. Yes, it's the dark red light. I have never seen light of that color, just seeing it has a weird feeling. The student said to the Commissioner. the Commissioner for Discipline and Discipline immediately recorded the incident. Listening to the sound of the ballpoint pen rubbing on the paper, the students gradually calmed down. At that time, I really had a feeling, as if I would die in the next second, until I saw the appearance of that figure. The student continued to describe. How should I describe it? That person just showed his back, giving me a sense of peace of mind, as if those weird lights are no longer a big deal. Upon hearing this, the Commissioner for Discipline and Discipline began to record again. Next is what I said. The man just waved his hand slightly, the dark red light disappeared, and the 12 school district that was destroyed before was restored to its original state. The student stopped describing, then let out a breath. After finishing the record, the Commissioner for Discipline and Discipline asked doubtfully, "Is there only this?" "Ah, what else do you want to know?" 330? The student asked suspiciously. "No, doesn't the person in your mouth do anything other than waving his hand?" The Commissioner for Discipline and Discipline opened his eyes and asked, "For example, a certain ability, or what kind of technological means?" The students felt tired after hearing the words of the Commissioner for Discipline and Discipline. He held up the table in front of him and faced the Commissioner's eyes. I said, "Although I don't have much ability, I can't make a mistake about that kind of thing." The Commissioner for Discipline and Discipline was slightly pushed back by this serious attitude. "That man, I don't know what he did, but I can tell you that it is entirely his credit that we can talk here without incident." The student solemnly said, "If you say something that is not what you want to hear, except for the explanation of Shenming, I can't find a word that can describe that person. Can you understand if I say this?" "I see, thank you for your cooperation." The Commissioner for Discipline and Discipline nodded, only to end today's investigation. "Really, can this kind of thing stop coming?" The student sighed helplessly. While complaining, he left the office of the Commissioner for Discipline and Discipline. And from time to time there will be people like him who are subject to investigation by the Commissioner for Discipline and Discipline. Advertisement, however, there was a branch of the Commissioner for Discipline and Discipline and did not conduct a similar investigation. That is branch 177. So, it was Father who prevented that strange phenomenon, right? Shirai Kuroko put his head on Chuchin Shili's shoulder, and looked at the screen in front of him constantly flashing various information. According to the description, it should be Mr. Yèyuè. Speaking of Shirai, why do you use the name Father? Chuchin Shili has become accustomed to this kind of action. Hearing the question of Chuchin Shili, Baijin Kuroko proudly said, "That's because I will definitely get my sister in the future. The time will come, he. I won't belong to anyone, Sunspot." Makoto clenched his fist and stood behind Shirai Kuroko. Feeling the unbearable weight on her shoulders, Shirai Kuroko's body trembled. "Sister, elder sister? Why did you come here suddenly?" Baijing Haitsi said with a shaky tone. Makoto sighed and didn't care about Shirai Kuroko for the time being. Sister, don't you plan to call me?" Without receiving the familiar electric shock, Baijing Sunspot was not used to it. "You fellow, please be normal." Makoto couldn't help it after all, and gave Shirai Kuroko a punch. "Huh? Are you investigating Mr. Yèyuè?" Chuchin Shili looked at Makoto in surprise. She said to Makoto, "I think that if Yèyuè-senpai asks Mr. Yèyuè, Baffa, Mr. Yèyuè will definitely tell you." Yèyuè Guāng's love for Makoto can be seen by anyone with a discerning eye. As Lee in the early spring, I really can't think of a reason for Makoto to do this. It's Dad who doesn't want to tell me, so I have to come and investigate. Makoto said helplessly. In this incident, Yèyuè Guāng did not involve Makoto. He didn't even notice Micron in the last one. After all, in the eyes of ordinary people, the resentment group has a very close relationship with Yèyu's sisters. Only Yèyuè Guāng clearly understands that the resentment aggregate is not in existence in this world. Advertisement it came into this world in a way that even Yèyuè Guāng didn't know much about. And by coincidence, relying on the hatred of the sisters in other time and space, they shaped their most basic image. If this is the case, it means that you can no longer handle the matter? Gufa Meiwei, who was drinking milk, stood up and said, "Although it may not be pleasing, I advise you not to act rashly. I have seen Yèyuè Guāng in several ways, but I know what Yèyuè Guāng is capable of. That kind of inhuman temperament not everyone can have. Senior Gufa is right, Sister Sama is better to wait this time." When it comes to Makoto's safety, Shirai Kuroko rarely refutes Makoto's wishes. But although knowing that everyone's advice is for herself, Makoto's character is destined to be impossible for her to sit still. Upon seeing this, Gufa Meiwei sighed helplessly. "Well, if you leave it to your own investigation, it is better for everyone to help you together." Gufa Meiwei said to Makoto, "But I said in advance that if you encounter a situation that cannot be resolved, you must stop in time, you know?" Makoto agreed. And in The Building Without Windows, Yèyuè Guāng is talking to Alistair. "The fishing boats in Shuiyuan City need you to control it." Yèyuè Guāng said to Alistair. Alistair asked, "Is there news about that thing, can't it spread?" The other party is a kind of mental polymer. People's emotions and thoughts can increase its power. The more people discuss, the more terrifying its destructive power. Yèyuè Guāng said to Alistair. 3 days were enough for Yèyuè Guāng to figure out what was going on. "It's really tricky. What do you know about its existence?" Alistair pondered for a moment, and had no choice but to follow Yèyuè Guāng's arrangement. "The plane we are on was originally affected by the aspects of the demon gods. Although this has brought a lot of negative results, our plane can also be hidden. Yèyuè Guāng said to Alistair, and when I started the cycle, this concealment disappeared. In other words, is it an enemy from outside the world? Chapter 256 I'm an old husband and wife. It's more like a phenomenon than an enemy. Yèyuè Guāng shook his head and said to Alistair, it didn't come into this world deliberately, it can only be said that it happened to appear here at a special time. The master has seen the entire Yèyuè Guāng of the higher order phase, and can see more, truth, facts. It doesn't have any targeted hostility, it's just born out of resentment, and it just wants to destroy anything that it perceives. Alistair said, in that case, I would rather it be an aggressor-like existence. Simple destruction is sometimes more terrifying than the enemy's conspiracy. Especially when the perpetrator of destruction has good power. Then this matter, do you want to solve it yourself? Alistair asked next. No, I don't plan to take action on this matter for the time being. But Yèyuè Guāng sighed helplessly. That daughter in my family doesn't seem to be waiting to die. Makoto's movements are naturally impossible to hide from Yèyuè Guāng. Blindly taking care of it will only gradually alienate Makoto's relationship with Yèyuè Guāng. Therefore, Yèyuè Guāng can only look like an old father, silently watching Makoto's movements behind the scenes. Moreover, Yèyuè Guāng did not want to treat Makoto like a canary. As his daughter, it is natural to have the same strength. In this case, let me join in. Alistair said his thoughts. Existence from outside the world, it is necessary to study it. If you want to participate, go, but are you ready on the magic side? Yèyuè Guāng asked Alistair. Those guys are just lingering. According to your plan, after the second cycle starts, they won't be enough to be taken seriously by me. Alistair was a little strange, but still answered Yèyuè Guāng's question. Yèyuè Guāng's plan, Alistair also calculated a little. In addition, Yèyuè Guāng did not hide his thoughts and revealed some news during the exchange. Alistair didn't care about the magic side at all now. Since the other party is not threatening, it is really your style to ignore the consequences no matter what the consequences are. Yèyuè Guāng said helplessly. Alistair did not answer. Even now he has reached a weird, cooperative, relationship with Yèyuè Guāng. But Alistair would not easily let go of himself, to fully conform to the ideas of others. Forget it, at your level, it's impossible for the magic side to make any moves. Advertisement Yèyuè Guāng waved his hand and left, the building without windows. So, what happened recently? The bee-eater asked Yèyuè Guāng a little unhappy. That kind of relationship has taken place, and the attitude of the bee-eater to Yèyuè Guāng has also changed a lot. Especially the changes in Yèyuè Guāng during this time have made the bee-eater exercises a bit of trouble. There is nothing big, so feel relieved. For this girly mentality, Yèyuè Guāng can see through it at a glance. He directly stretched out his hand and rubbed it on the bee-eater's little head, adding a gentle tone. In an instant, he prayed for the bee-eater to comfort him. Just, even if you say that, it always feels like you have been busy these days. The bee-eater asked blushing. Just tasted the sweetness of Eros, making bee-eater Couchy very obsessed with the feeling of peace of mind. It's been a long time to find something that requires hard work, naturally, you have to be serious. Yèyuè Guāng prayed to the bee-eater. Since you don't like watching from the sidelines, how about finding something meaningful? Meaningful thing? The bee-eater tilted his head suspiciously. She had never thought about such a thing. Before meeting Yèyuè Guāng, she had been frightened by the darkness of the school city. In other words, the wounded are all over. At that time, the analysis of the bee-eater was just driven by the fear in the heart, doing things that could protect oneself. Until I met Yèyuè Guāng, and then the two in short, the current bee-eater exercises no longer intend to do those complicated things. Being able to be with Yèyuè Guāng happily every day, she is already satisfied. If this goes on, you will become the same as me before. Yèyuè Guāng said to the bee-eater, thinking of becoming like a decadent uncle. The bee-eater even trembled. No, if she becomes like that, her life will be over. It always feels like you are thinking about something unrealistic. Seeing the bee-eater praying that life is over, Yèyuè Guāng also shook his head helplessly. -0 seeking flowers. 0 Although she always considers herself a queen, in the final analysis, the bee-eater is just a junior high school girl. In short, even if it is to help Dolly get used to daily life, it is better than worrying about gains and losses here. Yèyuè Guāng said to the bee-eater. Advertisement? I am not concerned about gains and losses? The bee-eater made a classic Japanese tsunere. If Mei Ling were here instead, she would have molested Yèyuè Guāng in reverse. Waving his hand, Yèyuè Guāng returned to his room with Mei Ling. As soon as I opened the door, I saw Mei Ling playing with the last game. Among the younger sisters, Mei Ling's favorite is the last one. Because of this body shape, Makoto can remind Mei Ling of her youth. 0. Obviously, there is no change in his face now. Yèyuè Guāng vomited helplessly. Although it hasn't changed, my heart is not what it used to be. Mei Ling gave Yèyuè Guāng speechlessly. We didn't get along like this before. Yèyuè Guāng can only nod helplessly. After all, passion is short-lived. Otherwise, it's not worth remembering for a lifetime. Okay, Mom is going to talk to Dad about something. You go outside to find your sisters, right? Mei Ling said to the final work. The well-behaved final work naturally agrees. After kissing Yèyuè Guāng for a while, the last thing was to leave here. Then, is there anything to avoid the children? Yèyuè Guāng sat beside Mei Ling, her hands a little dishonest. Don't make trouble, there is business to talk about. Mei Ling took off Yèyuè Guāng's hand and said seriously, the last work and the kid of Mei Guang are a bit strange these days. You noticed it too. Yèyuè Guāng's eyes also became serious. Of course, I'm their mother. Mei Ling said worriedly. Those kids were afraid that I was worried, so they didn't tell me. Well, something is happening recently. Yèyuè Guāng struggled for a while, not knowing how to explain to Mei Ling. He could let Mei Ling ignore these things in a word. But now Yèyuè Guāng does not plan to do that. The Lord of the Dignified World can't always use domineering to deal with his family. And, chapter 257, so you really are a scumbag. So, the current situation is, are the children likely to be hurt by that monster? Mei Ling hugged her chest, her whole body exuding a serious aura. This is a spontaneous temperament of a mother who is worried about her child. Despite the power of creation, Yèyuè Guāng's position at this moment is a father. Therefore, he can only say in a low voice, you know the character of that child Makoto, you can't keep her from participating in this matter, right? Husband, you should also reflect on whether you are a little doting on Makoto. Mei Ling said helplessly. It can be said that it was Yèyuè Guāng's excessive love that caused Makoto to become his current character. You are the least qualified to say this sentence, right? Upon hearing Mei Ling's words, Yèyuè Guāng was dissatisfied. Speaking of spoiling Makoto, Mei Ling's degree is no worse than Yèyuè Guāng. 330. Cough cough, now it's useless to say this, let's find a way to deal with the immediate matter. Mei Ling blushed and coughed a few times, and then she broke the subject. Yèyuè Guāng grinned silently, but he didn't plan to quarrel with women. With this skill, he might as well explore where the end of the universe is. Don't worry, Makoto's safety is definitely okay, and the other children are naturally the same. Yèyuè Guāng said to Mei Ling, do you still know my method? It's because I know that I'm worried, Mei Ling said with a distrustful expression. If you are allowed to take action, I don't know how many people will be killed. Yèyuè Guāng choked. So do you have any plans? Yèyuè Guāng saw that Mei Ling should have her own ideas, and asked. If I had the power to. No, only this won't work. Before Mei Ling finished her words, she was interrupted by Yèyuè Guāng. Mei Ling, I know you are worried about Makoto's safety, but fighting is not a cool thing. Yèyuè Guāng said seriously, if it weren't for thinking that it would hurt Makoto's heart, I wouldn't even let her participate. It is true that Yèyuè Guāng is the true god, but the godhead of Yèyuè Guāng today is not complete. He is also developing new powers. Moreover, Mei Ling's character is destined to be impossible for her to fight. Advertisement. Although Makoto is kind, she inherited Yèyuè Guāng's talents and has ample fighting spirit. That's why Yèyuè Guāng planned to let Makoto give it a try. But while speaking, Yèyuè Guāng saw tears flashing from the corners of Mei Ling's eyes. It's not just Makoto, I'm also worried about you. Mei Ling shouted at Yèyuè Guāng. Yèyuè Guāng didn't know what to say for a while. Since we met, I have slowly discovered one thing. Mei Ling said to Yèyuè Guāng, husband, you are different from sis, right? Did you discover it? How could we not find out? How long have we been together day and night? Yèyuè Guāng did not disclose his changes to anyone. Except for Alistair, who first witnessed Yèyuè Guāng's promotion, no one else knew about Yèyuè Guāng's current situation. But now, Mei Ling is relying on her own heart to feel the change of Yèyuè Guāng. Except that Yèyuè Guāng did not hide this from Mei Ling. Mei Ling's sincere love for Yèyuè Guāng was the reason for her to discover the abnormality. It's a headache, it seems I have to tell you. Yèyuè Guāng sighed helplessly. Although I knew there was such a day, but when he really started to tell a story, he realized that it was really troublesome. Simply, Yèyuè Guāng hugged Mei Ling in his arms, and then tapped her forehead with a finger. Suddenly, Mei Ling saw a lot of Yèyuè Guāng's past. Including Yèyuè Guāng's battle in Hokage Continent, the battle in this world for the first time, and the communication with God. You guy. You are so carefree. As a result, just after returning to the real world, Mei Ling was unwilling to beat Yèyuè Guāng's chest with her powder fist. As a result, do you care more about this kind of thing? Yèyuè Guāng looked at Mei Ling speechlessly. Obviously he has become a true god. But Mei Ling didn't care about Yèyuè Guāng's power at all. Instead, she started to run wild because of seeing Yèyuè Guāng's romantic history. No matter how good you are still my husband. After making a fuss for a while, Mei Ling could only sigh helplessly. The relationship between her and Yèyuè Guāng for so many years is not fake. Moreover, the two still have tens of thousands of children. Even if they know that Yèyuè Guāng is a man with a heart, Mei Ling can only pinch her nose to recognize it. Advertisement, but, you will not be allowed to hook up with other girls in the future. Mei Ling said to Yèyuè Guāng. Yèyuè Guāng suddenly shed cold sweat. According to this posture, it is best not to let Mei Ling know about the bee-eaters. Why don't you speak anymore? Are you all ready? How come? How could I be that kind of person? Obviously there are so many wives, do you still want to quibble? No, I mean, if I'm really bothered, it's absolutely impossible to hide it from you. You were quite proud. After some trouble, the little resentment in Mei Ling's heart completely disappeared. However, things about Makoto still have to be taken care of. Mei Ling said to Yèyuè Guāng, aren't you the new god? Can't you let me fight or something? Don't think of me as a Doraemon a dream, okay? Yèyuè Guāng said helplessly, and I don't want to use this ability against you. HMPH, you passed the level. On the contrary, Mei Ling was a little bit shy by Yèyuè Guāng's earthy love words. Although her mouth is very tough, Mei Ling's attitude towards Yèyuè Guāng has become very submissive. Just Yèyuè Guāng's willingness to accommodate her little temper has already let Mei Ling know that she is already very happy. I'm going to find Makoto. Although the kid is sensible, he may be crazy. After Mei Ling spoke to Yèyuè Guāng, she left by herself. However, Yèyuè Guāng 5.0 pondered for a moment, and turned his hands into a ring. When it comes to this, how could I not do anything yet? This ring condenses a little strength of Yèyuè Guāng. Although it is impossible to achieve what you want, it is enough for the wearer to gain invincible power in the world. Similarly, this is also Yèyuè Guāng's love for his partner. After putting the ring in the small box that Mei Ling had always treasured, Yèyuè Guāng also left here. Although it says that Makoto will be able to practice by himself, how can Yèyuè Guāng really feel relieved? However, not long after Yèyuè Guāng left, the door of his room with Mei Ling was suddenly pushed open. Mom? Mom. It seems to be absent. The quirky dolly looked around, but did not see Mei Ling or Yèyuè Guāng. Behind her, the bee-eater looked at the room with curiosity. Chapter 258. It's not good if the brain is down. Since Auntie is not here, let's leave now. The bee-eater prayed that Mei Ling hadn't appeared in the room, and was a little relieved. Now her identity is Lil Third, and Mei Ling's regular wife identity still makes bee-eater F*** G a little bit unbearable. It's okay, come in and have a look. Dolly still doesn't know what happened to the bee-eater and Yèyuè Guāng. Otherwise, he would not pull the bee-eater to pray in. What should I do if I come back later? The bee-eater who refused to refuse Dolly's invitation could only be snarled deep in her heart. In order to find a way to leave here early, the bee-eater FK Kai can only ask, why is Dolly coming here? I wanted to talk to my dad and mom about my sister, but it seems that there is no chance today. Dolly said helplessly. In order to avoid being worried about the bee-eater, Dolly did not say anything about her sisters being troubled by nightmares recently. It can only be said that from the perspective of worrying about the family, Makoto and her sisters are the same. Because of a ghost in his heart, bee-eater FK Kai talked with Dolly 1/10 sentence without a word. At this moment, it seemed that some kind of induction appeared in my heart. The bee-eater always looks in one direction inadvertently. And inside, it was the ring that Yèyuè Guāng prepared for Mei Ling. What's the matter, Xiaoqi? It seems that you have been staring at some place before you misunderstand. Dolly noticed the abnormality of the bee-eater and asked directly curiously. Nothing, just feels like there is something there. The bee-eater prayed to recover and quickly explained to Dolly. This actually made Dolly more curious. I always feel that Xiaoqi, you're very nervous today, is there any secret? Dolly leaned in front of the bee-eater and just stared at the bee-eater. It's over. Why is Dolly becoming so smart at this time? The bee-eater screamed badly in his heart, and at the same time the cold sweat shed uncontrollably. If Dolly knew that something like that happened to her and Yèyuè Guāng, it would be irreversible. With this in mind, the bee-eater can only change the subject as much as possible. She said to Dolly, actually, I have something left here. Huh? Xiaoqi, you are here for the first time, why did you leave things behind? I've been here for various reasons before, but I haven't remembered it all the time. Advertisement. The bee-eater does not know what he said. All I know is that Dolly believed her in the end dubiously. In this case, let me find it for you, right? Dolly said so. The bee-eater prayed in relief. Thank you then. It's finally time to deal with it. Now I have to find a way, hurry up and find a chance to leave reasonably. The bee-eater's brain is running fast. I don't want to use abilities on Dolly. The bee-eater can only speed up my thinking. But obviously, the brain speed of bee-eater F*** G is not as fast as Dolly's vitality. While the bee-eater was still thinking about the reasons, Dolly had already started to search. Xiaoqi, what are you falling here? Dolly asked the bee-eater while flipping. I remember it was put in a small box. The bee-eater froze for a moment, but started to make up casually. After Dolly searched for it, she actually found a small box. Xiaoqi, there seems to be only this box, it should be yours. Dolly put the box in the hands of the bee-eater, but the bee-eater did not even have time to say, it's wrong to flip other people's things. Why there is only such a small box? Isn't it Mei Ling usually doesn't need makeup? The bee-eater put his hand on the box tremblingly. What she didn't know was that Mei Ling really didn't use makeup. By following Yèyuè Guāng, even if I don't know it, my body will gradually get better. Using cosmetics can even make Mei Ling's appearance look weird. No matter what, hold the contents for now, and then find a chance to talk to a Guāng. The bee-eater who broke the jar and smashed, directly opened the box. The contents directly stunned the two girls in the room. Ring? Dolly covered her mouth in surprise. But the bee-eater was completely down. Why does a couple who have been married for more than 10 years still have such a ring at home? The bee-eater F*** get up completely, advertisement. And Dolly came back to her senses at this time, looking at the bee-eater with shocked eyes. Xiaoqi, why do you keep a ring here? Sorry, the bee-eater has broken down, but even more terrible is that there are footsteps outside the door at this time. Suddenly, the bee-eater, who was panicked, completely lost his mind at this time. She directly put the ring ghost in her bag, then turned and ran out. She is usually not good at sports, but at this time she broke out with an excellent sprint speed. Wait, Xiaoqi. What the hell is going on? When Dolly saw this, she immediately followed the bee-eater. Don't follow me, the bee-eater rushed shyly, clutching his head. As everyone knows, this will only make things more complicated. It's better to go to Mom's place to have a look. A few minutes before the collapse of the bee-eater, Makoto walked towards this side reluctantly. 330 After discussing with his friends for a while, Makoto found that the strength at hand seemed insufficient to solve the current situation. Therefore, she can only follow Gufa Meiwei's suggestion and ask Yèyuè Guāng or Mei Ling for help. Although Makoto didn't intend to do this, she could only do so in the face of the current situation. As a result, before she entered the room, she saw the tearful bee-eater Kai running out of Yèyuè Guāng's room. There was also Dolly behind her. How is this going? There was a scene beyond common sense, and Makoto didn't know what was going on. Sister, hurry up and stop Xiaoqi. Dolly saw Makoto appear and immediately said to Makoto in surprise. Although I don't know what happened to the bee-eater, but if the bee-eater runs down like this, it is very likely to be injured. Dolly's intention is good. But in the bee-eater G Kai, it sounds like the addictive affair between himself and Yèyuè Guāng has been discovered. So the bee-eater can run faster, and Makoto, seeing the bee-eater exercises unexpectedly exploded at such a speed, immediately began to wonder if the bee-eater had done anything bad. No way, the relationship between the two has eased a lot because of Dolly's existence. But after all kinds of awkwardness, Makoto still made a decision subconsciously. Chapter 259 It's a big noise, Takiwadai is spreading. So, why did you two fight? Yèyuè Guāng looked at the transcendent bee-eater's analysis, couldn't help crying and asking. Who is this all because of? Hearing Yèyuè Guāng's heartless words, bee-eater gave Yèyuè Guāng angrily. After all, Makoto knew what was in the hands of the bee-eater. Knowing that the bee-eater FK Kai actually took the ring to Yèyuè Guāng's room, Makoto also fell into a runaway. Mouth heavy is totally different from actually acting. In the panic situation of the bee-eater at that time, it was naturally impossible to make rational decisions. Instead, the members of the faction who controlled him launched a counterattack against Makoto. As a result, the entire Takiwadai can be described as a mess. When Yèyuè Guāng discovered this situation, Makoto and the bee-eater had all collapsed. Fortunately, no one was really hurt, which shows that Makoto is still as kind as ever. And Yèyuè Guāng, who knew what happened through Dolly, could only look at the sky without a word. Who knew that he was only temporarily away for a short while, and it turned out to be like this? What should I do now? I'm not ready yet. The bee-eater is holding onto his blonde hair in distress. It could have been a prevarication, but because of this fight, it was completely spread. The rumor of Takiwadai now is that there is a fierce conflict between Psychological Master and Super Electromagnetic Gun. Such rumors really don't care about bee-eaters, but if you finally become Psychological Master, because I love Super Electromagnetic Cannon, as father, and fight against Super Electromagnetic Cannon, then the life of bee-eater analysis is over. Don't worry, it won't be like that. Yèyuè Guāng silently looked at the bee-eater who explained all the thoughts in his heart. Although this look looks very cute, but if the bee-eater is allowed to pray this way, it is estimated that the shadow in her heart will not heal for a lifetime. Ah, but now Dolly already knows it, the bee-eater shouted. This kind of thing will happen sooner or later, right? You can't hide it from others for a lifetime. Yèyuè Guāng said helplessly. Compared to a married person like him, the crisis faced by bee-eaters is much smaller. Obviously you were a cheating guy, and the object of cheating is still a junior high school student. How did you do it so naturally? The bee-eater pointed at Yèyuè Guāng and roared. What's the matter? I used to have many wives. Yèyuè Guāng glanced at his mouth indifferently. Advertisement. Women in the modern worldview have independent wild beauty, but in the same way, they take love very seriously. Ah, the lover who fell in love for the first time is actually a scumbag, and my life is over. The bee-eater sat weakly on the ground. The color of the whole person was dimmed a lot. Oh, come here anyway. Sitting on the ground will ruin your stomach. Yèyuè Guāng picked up the bee-eater and put it next to him. Although the bee-eater had been working hard, he did not refuse to contact Yèyuè Guāng. Okay, where's that ring? Yèyuè Guāng asked the bee-eater. The bee-eater froze for a moment, and then took out the small box from his bag. Inside is the ring that Yèyuè Guāng prepared for Mei Ling. Obviously I am an old husband and wife, why'd I need to prepare such a thing? The bee-eater vented his little grievances, however, he handed the ring to Yèyuè Guāng honestly. Let her explain this matter. Yèyuè Guāng did not answer directly, but handed out the ring. Mei Ling, who did not know when she appeared, took the ring and put it directly on her finger. The bee-eater's face froze. Yèyuè Guāng could feel this delicate girl, her body trembling gently because of tension. Hey, although I knew that my husband is a man with a heart, but I didn't expect you to still smell copper. Mei Ling shook her head helplessly, and looked at Yèyuè Guāng with a ruthless look. Yèyuè Guāng said, do you think this figure looks like a child? You want to die. Mei Ling snorted and lightly hammered Yèyuè Guāng with her fist. Even if this thing ends like this. The moment Mei Ling and Yèyuè Guāng were to put on the ring, it was as if the soul merged into one. Leave this child to me. There are some things that you men can't explain. Mei Ling said. She pulled away from Yèyuè Guāng's Vice Admiral Bee-Eater. The moment Mei Ling took hold of the arm of the Bee-Eater shivered violently. Oh, don't be afraid, just tell you something. Mei Ling showed a kind smile and left with the Bee-Eater. Help me. The Bee-Eater looked at Yèyuè Guāng tragically. Advertisement and Yèyuè Guāng just waved his army, then turned and left. This man is too unreliable. What else did the Bee-Eater G want to do? Mei Ling was taken to a small room. Yèyuè Guāng is going to meet Mikoto. After all, this kind of thing is definitely not a small blow to Mikoto. How is Mikoto now? Yèyuè Guāng asked Dolly. Standing outside, Dolly shook her head directly when she heard Yèyuè Guāng's words. No, my sister doesn't want to see others now. Well, leave it to me here. Yèyuè Guāng touched Dolly's head and then squeezed the doorknob. Sure enough, the door was locked. Mikoto, I'm going in now. Yèyuè Guāng yelled into the room and then directly opened the door. After pushing the curious Dolly out, Yèyuè Guāng was finally alone with Mikoto. At this time, Mikoto wrapped herself tightly in the quilt. The small face that was originally exposed to pant was shrunk into the bed because of the appearance of Yèyuè Guāng. Still awkward, Yèyuè Guāng sighed and, well, walked towards Mikoto. Ignoring Mikoto's whispered, "Don't come," Yèyuè Guāng sat on Mikoto's bed. After froze for a few minutes, Mikoto finally showed his small face. Dad, you ****ed with the Bee-Eater to pray that nothing happened to that guy, right? Mikoto asked Yèyuè Guāng. The tone is full of expectation. I'm sorry, Mikoto, I can't deceive you. Yèyuè Guāng said ruthlessly. Your thoughts are right. Why? Did something happen between mom and dad? Mikoto curled up in fear. If Yèyuè Guāng broke up with Mei Ling, Mikoto couldn't imagine what that happened. It's very complicated, just listen to me slowly. Yèyuè Guāng sighed and touched Mikoto's head with his hand. Then I told it again, my own adventure epic. Chapter 260 New World has no place for demons. Appeasing Mikoto is not difficult for Yèyuè Guāng. However, Yèyuè Guāng has nothing to do with the Bee-Eater. The relationship between the two is not so good, and after being forgiven by Mei Ling, Bee-Eater Chi often meets Yèyuè Guāng secretly. You can imagine how many battles broke out between Mikoto and the Bee-Eater. Mei Ling couldn't tell Mikoto everything. In that case, her mother's old face would be completely gone. The resentment aggregates that appeared briefly before seemed to choose to stay away from the Academy City temporarily because of the existence of Yèyuè Guāng. Yèyuè Guāng is also happy and leisurely. Because of the beginning of the cycle, the magic system that was originally formed based on the power of worship to God has now begun to fade away. A large part of magicians have gradually given up their power system. And those who still maintain fanaticism are basically fanatics whose heads have been broken. Even if it was killed by the resentment aggregate, Yèyuè Guāng would not regret anything. But for people like Alistair and Lola, grievance aggregation is no small matter. Oh, that monster really caused us a lot of trouble. Laura wore the iconic 330 smirk, which made people unable to see what she thought in her heart. After the resentment aggregate avoided Yèyuè Guāng's sight, it began to create various killings in the outside world. It was originally formed by resentment, and it can naturally make people's hearts go dark. What's more terrible is that magic is a camp full of contradictions. Because of their different systems, the gods they worship are also different. These hatreds that can be circumvented temporarily, all broke out under the action of resentment aggregates. Regardless of the fact that the Academy City is very peaceful now, but the outside world is already in a state of desperation. Can you not solve this kind of thing? Alistair's tone was as calm as ever. That's not a simple thing. Laura covered her face with a fan. I don't know what's going on, she always feels that Alistair's attitude is different from before. Did you find something? It shouldn't be. Laura felt that something was wrong? Forget it, since you plan to continue, I will accompany you. Alistair said so suddenly. Baffa, advertisement afterwards, before Lola took the call, Alistair started discussing with Lola about how to resolve the grievances. It wasn't until the call was over that Laura's eyes became serious. Is that a temptation, or what? Lola is not Lola, but a demon summoned in the past. And it's not the kind of character described as the cannon fodder of hell in the novel. A real character who can compete with God. Although Yèyuè Guāng was upgraded, he didn't notice any threatening feeling in Laura. This means that the opponent's strength is not enough to make Yèyuè Guāng care. But the beginning of the cycle naturally affected Karanzan, who was a demon. In the first cycle, there is no threat to his existence. But when the second cycle started, everything was different. While Laura was thinking about the current situation, Alistair, who ended the call, was found by Ives. Is it really good to do this? That demon is not something to provoke. Ives asked Alistair. Hearing this, Alistair opened his eyes slightly. It's okay, for him now, nothing can get in the way of him. Yèyuè Guāng has already reached the top of the world. The time and space, matter, and destiny of the real world have all become things in the palm of Yèyuè Guāng. Even if Karanzan realized this, it was impossible to change anything. Since he didn't show up, it means that my actions have received his acquiescence. Alistair calmly analyzed. Really? You are really quite simple. Alistair's performance of Wine West Off made Ives feel bored. He, who was boring, chose to hide himself again. In the building without windows, only Alistair was left floating in silence. A few days later, the entrance to the school city. Is it really okay to let that kid run in here? Still Magnus was looking at Indicus with a worried expression on his face as he dodges towards the Academy City. There is no way, but the child can be recycled before the attention is drawn. Shen Li Huoji slightly adjusted his eyebrows, but didn't say much. Advertisement Shuiyuan City has a secret cooperative relationship with the British Puritanism. As a sage, the god/Hori knows this. Then, still no longer said more, and immediately started the action. What Shenchahoji didn't know was that Alistair had already known this matter from the very beginning. Only this time, Alistair, whose plan was completely changed, no longer had to rely on the existence of the fantasy killer. The target has entered the Academy City. Do you need me to catch it for you? Alistair said calmly. The object is naturally Yèyuè Guāng. That's not necessary, you will definitely scare the child. Yèyuè Guāng said softly. At this moment, he is holding the last work, and Xiao Xiaoji's last work is watching Mr. Gutai's animation. Yèyuè Guāng surprised Yèyuè Guāng for being able to come to the Academy City as before. But it was just a surprise. For this naive snack, Yèyuè Guāng has already made arrangements. Yèyuè Guāng's body did not move, but magically appeared in Zuoshan Lazy's dormitory at the same time. Master, why are you here? Seeing Yèyuè Guāng suddenly appeared, Zuoshan Lazy was startled. After a period of exercise, Zuoshan Lazy's speed has already surpassed the limit of human beings and even creatures. For this reason, Zuoshan Lazy's respect for Yèyuè Guāng has grown stronger. Sadin Tirko, who is now wearing loose home clothes, feels a little bit shy. Speaking of which, your current strength has almost reached the level of LV5. Yèyuè Guāng said to Zuoshan Lazy, there is one thing next, maybe it can promote the growth of your strength. Are you going to fight? Zuoshan Lazy said to Yèyuè Guāng. Regarding the battle, Zuotian Lazy has long realized now. After witnessing Shirai Kuroko and Chuharu Shiri fought with dangerous abilities again and again, Sadin Tirko also wanted to contribute. Yes, but don't be nervous. Now there are very few people who can cause harm to you. Yèyuè Guāng recognized Zuoshan Lazy's current speed. Being able to run at infinitely close to the speed of light is a rare powerhouse in the Forbidden World. Chapter 261 especially edible with Yèyuè Guāng's blessing, Zuoshan Lazy set off. On her phone is a picture of Indix. It doesn't look like a bad person. Seeing Indix's vigilant eyes, Zuotian Lazy made a judgment in his heart. Even in such a nervous state, the girl's eyes were still not murderous. Anyway, I'd better go to Chuchen for help first. Zuotian Lazy thought so, although she was able to travel all over the Academy City in an instant. But for Zuotian Lazy himself, the time passed bit by bit. This is why Yèyuè Guāng rated Zuoshan Lazy as LV5 level. Unless Zuoshan Lazy can completely overcome the senses of being a human now and use extreme speed to comprehend the power of time and space. Otherwise, in Yèyuè Guāng's view, it would not be regarded as a teacher. Student Zuoshan, what's the matter? Seeing Zuoshan Lazy suddenly came up, Chuchen Shili asked curiously. I want you to find someone. Zuotian Lazy smiled and handed the phone over. Then instantly lifted up the skirt decorated with Li in the early spring and put it down. Well, without the shy expression of Chuchen, it would be boring to lift the skirt. Zuotian Lazy nodded in his heart. Using super speed, Chuchen Shili didn't even find that his skirt was lifted up. So naturally there's no expression. It's decided, you have to lift the skirt upright. After making such a decision, Zuotian Lazy asked Chuchen Shili, how about it, can you find it? No way, Sadin-san, without the approval of the headquarters, you can't mobilize the database of the Academy City casually. In the early spring, Li Zi said embarrassedly, if only general information is fine. However, searching for irrelevant persons directly like this is strictly prohibited. Come on, early spring. This is the test that the master gave me, please, please. Seeing this, Sadin Lizi had no choice but to hold Chuchen Shiri's arm and start acting like a baby. Chuchen Shili was so worn out that she had to say, okay, let go of me. Really, let's not take it as an example. Hey, I know. Zuotian Lizi happily agreed. It seemed that he didn't care about the words of Chuchen Shili at all. Advertisement Li Chuchen acted helplessly, and could only help Zuotian Lizi to find the traces of Inticus. Huh? This kid? As the investigation progressed, Chuchen Shili made a suspicious voice. Zuotian Lizi couldn't help asking, what's wrong? This kid doesn't seem to be from the school city. After confirming several times with Chuchen Shili, he finally made a judgment. Then there are no useful clues in the database, Zuotian Lizi sighed helplessly. Then he set his sights on Chuchen Shili's body. Student Zuoshan, why are you looking at me like this? Chuchen Shili had a bad feeling. You want me to invade the surveillance network of the Academy City, right? That's it, you moved a little in the early spring anyway. No, Such a thing is illegal. Chuchen Shili naturally did not intend to do this. Although he usually talks well, he is very disciplined in the face of such things. As a result, I still didn't get a clue. Zuo Tianlizi sighed on the street. Although she used all means, she even promised that Chuchen Shili would control the urge to lift the skirt in the future. But Chuchen Shili still didn't agree with Satin Lazy's words. If Chuchen had also met Master, I would definitely agree. Zuo Tianlizi thought of Yèyuè Guāng, who was squatting more and more at home, only feeling very depressed. Even though Yèyuè Guāng looks cute like that, can't think about it. Satin Lazy patted his cheek. Since there is no way to find away from Chuchen, do you have to find it slowly? I'm so hungry, can someone give me something to eat? And just when Zuo Tianlizi was about to start searching, there was a soft cry for help from the corner of the street. Huh? This voice, is it because someone is going to faint from hunger? Hearing the call for help, Zuo Tianlizi naturally couldn't wait to die. She ran over immediately. I saw a little blue-haired nun sitting on the ground feebly. I always feel like I saw it somewhere. Zuo Tianlizi walked over, but he felt more and more familiar. She quickly took out her cell phone. Is it such a coincidence? Advertisement, thanks for your help. -0 seeking flowers, 0. Inticus patted her belly. Because I ate too much in one breath, even the mobile church was deformed by the stomach. This kid's appetite, what the hell is going on? Zuo Tianlizi was shocked and speechless. The speed ability brings a lot of physical exertion. Although Satin Tirko has the support of mysterious energy, she won't lose her strength after running for a few seconds. However, Satin Lazy's appetite still increased too much compared to before. But for a girl who likes food, this is actually a good thing. But even so, Zuoshin Lazy's appetite is simply a butterfly stomach compared to Indicus. Fortunately, you have prepared the funds from the master in advance, otherwise you will have to wash the dishes today. With a little emotion in her heart, Zuo Tianlizi finally asked curiously, well, who are you? My name? I'm sorry, but I still don't know if it's better for you? Indicus was stunned for a moment, and then said a little sorry to Zuoshin Lazy. In Indix's opinion, those who can invite themselves to dinner are definitely good people. So she didn't want to involve Zuoshin Lazy into her own troubles. Sure enough, your current situation is very dangerous, right? Zuo Tianlizi had determined something, and his eyes became firm. She held Intix by the shoulder. I am here to protect you, please follow me to a safe place. Now it was Inticus's turn to wonder what to do. This is the base camp of the science side. As a result, a girl who claimed to be here to help her suddenly emerged. Although he felt that Satin Lazy was not a bad person, Inticus still hesitated a little. Do you want to take this child away? I'm sorry, this can't be done. Still suddenly stepped out of the corner. After hearing this voice, Intix suddenly became nervous. And Zuo Tianlizi noticed the change of Intix. You guy, what do you want to do? Zuo Tianlizi shouted to Still. As the kid said before, it's better not to know some things. Still chose to persuade Zuoshin Lazy, because from the look in Zuoshin Lazy's eyes, she is an ordinary person who can't fight at all, and... Chapter 262 The Gamble Between Inticus and Zuoshin Lazy. You should leave here quickly. Seeing Steele's figure, Intix hurriedly said to Zuoshin Lazy. She didn't want the unlucky people to be injured because of herself. Do not, Zuo Tianlizi firmly refused to say. She has already noticed Yèyuè Guāng's arrangement. Since the target of the man in front of her is the girl behind her, it means that he is his enemy. Speaking of which, this is my first time fighting. Zuo Tianlizi murmured nervously. Aside from Yèyuè Guāng's teaching, Zuoshin Lazy had guessed his destructive power as he kept entering the speed mode. At such a speed that surpasses the rules of physics, it can be transformed into attack power. It is impossible for any known substance to support such terrible destruction for even an instant. Therefore, Zuo Tianlizi is actually nervous. Will he, 333, miss to kill the man in front of him? I thought you were just a student, but you have such a look, it seems that you have to fight. Seeing Zuoshin Lazy's eyes, Still frowned slightly. Are you coming? Satin Lazy changed the rhythm of her breathing. This is a precursor to her ability to activate. My magic name is Fortis 931. Since you choose to stand in front of me, you must be conscious of death. What a mess. Hearing the two-feeling declaration from Steele's mouth, Zuo Tianlizi didn't know what to do for a while. But Steele's attack has already appeared. The huge flame sword suddenly appeared with the singing that Satin Lazy couldn't understand. Seeing this, Zuo Tianlizi didn't have time to figure out what the other party's ability was, but left the place directly with Inticus. In Steele's eyes, before his own attack hits, the figures of Zuo Tianlizi and Inticus have disappeared. What? Is it a space-capable person? Steele's eyes condensed, and then he slowly retracted his flame. If the opponent is a space-capable person, it is difficult for Steele to cause harm to the opponent without preparing the battlefield in advance. It seems that the gods still have to come over. Steele gave a light spit, then turned and left. Only a somewhat melted road burned by the flames was left, proving what happened here before. Advertisement on the other side, Zuoshin Lazy brought Intix to a secluded place with no one. Inticus was still keeping her eyes wide open, looking at why there was a sudden change in her surroundings. It should be temporarily safe here. Zuo Tianlizi let out a sigh of relief, and then asked, "What the hell is that man just now?" Inticus hesitated for a moment, and after all, she revealed the secret she was carrying. Saturn Tirko has proved that he has the ability to protect himself in the confrontation with the enemy. And the other party has been eyeing Zuo Tianlizi. When Zuo Tianlizi listened to Inticus's description, an awkward expression gradually appeared on his face. Although I really want to believe you, but magic or something. Zuo Tianlizi couldn't help laughing. No matter how you listen to it, it is full of words in the second grade. Seeing the appearance of Zuo Tianlizi, Intikes naturally puffed up her mouth in irritation. What do you mean? Didn't you see the man's ability before? Of course I saw it, but it's more like a kind of ability than any magic, right? Zuo Tianlizi said to Inticus. Compared to such unfamiliar terms as magic, Satinlizi still felt that Stir was using a pyrotechnic superpower. If you don't believe it, just attack me. Seeing Zuo Tianlizi, Indix still didn't want to believe it, so she straightened her chest against Zuo Tianlizi. Let Satinlizi launch an attack on his body, are you crazy? Zuo Tianlizi was taken aback by Intic's words. She didn't have such a bad taste of breaking people. However, Inticus was still reluctant and wanted to let Zuo Tianlizi know how powerful her mobile church was. No way, Zuo Tianlizi had to adopt a relatively gentle method. My ability is to have ultimate speed, so even if I simply shake my palm, I can completely decompose the material I touch. Zuo Tianlizi said to Inticus. It's like this. Zuo Tianlizi picked up a piece of gravel on the ground. Immediately afterwards, her hands began to vibrate rapidly. Inticus could even see a vague image swaying on Satinlizi's wrist. It seems that it is no longer human flesh, but some kind of scientific shock machine. Satinlizi finally stopped. Zero, the original gravel has now become a powdery crystal. Advertisement, the intense speed caused it to be shattered directly and turned into a substance in units of molecules. Awesome. Although I can't understand words such as matter and molecules, I demonstrate through the ability of Satinlizi. Inticus still intuitively understood the power of Satinlizi's ability. According to what you said, your clothes should have a strong defense. Satinlizi showed subtle eyes. If it is a lie, your clothes will be shattered in an instant. Alas, after all, it's still a girl. Hearing such an explosive statement as, clothes will be shattered, Inticus still subconsciously covered her chest. But for the persistence of magic, let her say, I'm not afraid, if you have the ability, you can try it. Come on then, Zuo Tianlizi naturally couldn't admit counsel. All year round to lift off the skirt that decorated Li in the early spring, so that Satinlizi has no psychological burden on things like, getting off girls' clothes. Zuo Tianlizi directly stepped forward and grabbed the mobile church of Inticus. In order to avoid hurting Intix's body, Satin Tirko grabbed the clothes on the wrist of her left hand. Although Inticus believes in the ability to move the church. But considering that it may become completely naked, and it is still on the street. Inticus was still nervous with 5.0, please, you must stand up. Inticus prayed loudly in her heart, and Zuo Tianlizi used her abilities as she said. Suddenly, the molecules began to vibrate violently. The mobile church detected terrorist forces from the outside world and immediately launched countermeasures. In the eyes of Zuo Tianlizi and Intikes, it became a mobile church that suddenly radiated pale white light. Humph. Look at it. Upon seeing this, Inticus sighed triumphantly as she breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the mobile church is as useful as ever. Intix was jumping for joy in her heart, but Zuo Tianlizi was inspired to fight. It turns out to be something like magic, then let me try it. Thinking of this, Zuo Tianlizi immediately increased his ability output. Chapter 263 Believers Cannot Resist God. Wait a minute. What are you doing? Seeing the eruption of light from the moving church on her body became more and more dazzling, Intix finally couldn't help but ask Zuo Tianlizi. What do you do? Of course it is to try the limits of your clothes. Zuo Tianlizi said excitedly. Zuo Tianlizi, who liked to explore, naturally became interested when he encountered such a dress that could withstand his abilities. And the unfavorable premonition in Inticus's heart became stronger and stronger. Seeing how the mobile church looked more and more weird, she finally couldn't help saying, Wait, don't continue. But Zuo Tianlizi, who was in a state of excitement, seemed to completely ignore Inticus's request. Finally, in a wonderful voice, the mobile church ushered in its own endurance limit. Bathed in the bewildered eyes of Zuo Tianlizi and Intikes, the mobile church was completely torn apart. Indix's body was just exposed to the air. Zuo Tianlizi was also stunned at this time. Only then did she come back to her senses. How did she do 10 absurd things? Let a little girl be naked on the street, won't she become AS*T? And just when things were about to be out of control, a figure suddenly appeared holding a windbreaker which tightly enveloped Inticus. Tears, you seem to be a little overwhelmed. Yèyuè Guāng's voice sounded slowly. Master. Zuo Tianlizi looked at Yèyuè Guāng, who suddenly appeared in front of him in surprise. When Indix was surprised, she had a feeling that she had never experienced before. It seems that the man in front of you is like the Lord she has always worshipped. So when that happens, you can go home and get a set of clothes and then put it on her. Yèyuè Guāng shook his head helplessly and said to Zuo Tianlizi, as a result, I was so stunned, It seems that normal training can't help you learn anything. That's it. Let the girls on the street. Anyway, it's too much chewing. Inticus, who was feasting on the side, couldn't help but interject. At the moment, the three are in an outdoor fast food restaurant. In order to appease Inticus's little emotions, Zuoshin Lizzie had to take Inticus to another meal. Advertisement facing the reprimands of Yèyuè Guāng and Inticus, Zuoshin Lizzie could only laugh constantly. This time, she was indeed a little sloppy, but although you can calm down by eating, is this appetite really okay? Seeing as if he hadn't eaten before, saddened Lizzie was even more sure in the turbulent Inticus. This little girl is definitely not easy. While Inticus got up to order a meal, Zuoshin Lizzie quickly asked, "Master, what is going on with this kid? What happened to her? Let's wait until the person concerned appears." Yèyuè Guāng did not directly explain. What happened to Inticus can't be explained in a simple sentence or two. Yèyuè Guāng turned to ask, "Tears, if you are now to fight the fireman before, are you sure of winning?" Hearing what Yèyuè Guāng said, Zuoshin Lizzie scratched his head and said, "I can't win something, right?" If it was just the ability to set fire, it was nothing to Zuoshin Lizzie. In fact, unless a method can be found to limit the speed of Zuoshin Lizzie, it is difficult for anyone to beat her. If you think so, you must be the one who loses. Yèyuè Guāng shook his head. He has experienced countless life and death battles, and his combat experience is much better than you. Unless, you can kill him in an instant. After hearing this, Zuoshin Lizzie fell into contemplation. For Zuoshin Lizzie, the so-called battle is more like a duel of ability. Yèyuè Guāng did not say directly, but Zuoshin Lizzie still heard the sound of blood splashing. If she is determined to die, can she really kill her? Yèyuè Guāng saw through Zuoshin Lizzie's entanglement. Sure enough, for you now, that kind of battle is still a bit early. Yèyuè Guāng said to Zuoshin Lizzie, "I will solve the next thing. You should go back and continue to exercise your abilities." Hearing what Yèyuè Guāng said, Zuoshin Lizzie finally gritted his teeth and said, "Master, please give me a chance. You have to think clearly. If you fight with him, I won't support him." "I have long been awakened," Zuoshin Lizzie said firmly. She was unwilling to hide behind her companions all the time. If she has obtained such abilities, but can't use it flexibly, wouldn't her efforts be meaningless? Seeing fire flashing in Zuoshin Lizzie's eyes, Yèyuè Guāng finally nodded. Advertisement. If there is such an awareness, then even if it is the first battle, I must be able to comprehend something from it. At this moment, the surrounding environment suddenly changed. To be precise, the crowd has changed. The people around seemed to be stunned at the same time, their eyes were blank, and they were still chanting various reasons that sounded unreliable. Immediately afterwards, the crowd all moved away from here in a short period of time. How is this going? Zuoshin Lizzie instinctively noticed something wrong. Such scenes reminded her of the appearance of some mentally capable people when they activated their abilities. For example, the ambiguity between Yèyuè Guāng and Yèyuè Guāng is the analysis of the bee-eater. This is, idlers disperse, that guy is catching up. 333 Index quickly swallowed a hamburger and then planned to leave here. But she was held back by Yèyuè Guāng. "Don't panic, we're here." Yèyuè Guāng said to Inticus, "It looks like a helper has been found." Steele walked out of the corner. With a cigarette dangling from his mouth, he looked at Zuoshin Lizzie with indifferent eyes. Then, he turned his gaze to Yèyuè Guāng. At that moment, Steele seemed to see something invisible. The whole person stood in place as if struck by lightning. Academy City does not allow smoking on the street. If you do this, be careful to bring the Commissioner of Discipline over. Zuoshin Lizzie said to Steele. In a city composed of students, smoking and drinking are naturally regulated. But Steele was not in the mood to say anything to Zuoshin Lizzie. "You know, who are you?" Steele oozes sweat on his face, and his whole body is stiff and unable to move. As a believer of the Apocalypse religion, Steele was met with a terrifying backlash at the moment when he became hostile towards Yèyuè Guāng. Even Yèyuè Guāng himself did not expect that these God believers would be bound to God so thoroughly. You know, this is the situation where Yèyuè Guāng initiated the first reincarnation, chapter 264. My advantage. What is my identity? You should have guessed it. Yèyuè Guāng chuckled and looked at Steele. Your current predicament is completely caused by your unreality. Hearing Yèyuè Guāng's words, Steele took 2 steps back subconsciously. But it stopped because of invisible oppression. No, impossible. How could God appear in the world? Steele exclaimed. There is a common cognition on the magic side, that is, the relationship between the worlds is distinct. Whether it is a superior or inferior existence, if you want to go to a world that does not belong to you, you need a lot of preparation rituals. Once the high-level existence comes to the low-level world, the impact it causes will definitely turn the world upside down. Steyer, don't use your own knowledge to prescribe God's behavior. That is disrespectful. At this moment, Kamikazuhori also appeared from behind Steele. But compared to the panicked steer, Kamikazuhori looked even more unbearable. Stigmata has begun to appear on her body. There is no doubt that only the real God can trigger such a scene. Real or fake, Steele was completely dumbfounded. Since the birth of the Apocalypse religion, it has been passed down through countless generations. There are very few believers who truly believe in God. A magician like Steel is more pious to his power system that he specializes in. Unexpectedly, just meeting with me will have such an impact on you. It is my responsibility to some extent. Yèyuè Guāng said suddenly. Before the two of them reacted, they found out. The surrounding area is no longer the reinforced jungle of the Academy City, but a place like a garden. This is Eden. The place where God sleeps. Yèyuè Guāng said to the gods and still. Then Yèyuè Guāng motioned for them to sit down. Kamikazuvori froze in place when he was with Stilton and didn't know how to act. After all, when God really appeared, most people still felt scared. However, after all, Kamikaze Hori was one of the saints. She, who had a superhuman body, reacted more quickly than Steel. Advertisement. You said this is the place where God sleeps, but you are not God, carrot? In the middle of Eden, Shenshouji felt that all the hidden injuries he had accumulated began to recover quickly. The identity of Yèyuè Guāng is also increasingly confirmed. That's why he asked so suspiciously. For you now, the truth may make you unable to understand. Yèyuè Guāng didn't tell God Rishori and Steel anything. It didn't help the two of them except that they were shocked. It may even hinder their future possibilities. Although you already know that you are no longer religious, judging from your performance, other people will only be worse, right? Yèyuè Guāng asked God Raihoji. Suddenly, Shinkrahoji lowered his head in embarrassment. Compared with the original intention of the apocalyptic religion, the current Puritanism is too far. So that God/Hori couldn't say anything at all. Well, it won't help you if you are embarrassed, you can go back. Yèyuè Guāng said to the gods, I will solve the child's matter. Hearing what Yèyuè Guāng said, the two naturally had no objection. If it is really the omnipotent God, maybe Inticus will never need to worry about her life in the future. Yèyuè Guāng waved his hand, and Shenrenhoji and Steel disappeared. However, Yèyuè Guāng was not in a hurry to leave the higher order aspects. Instead, I brought Intix here. Yèyuè Guāng did not wait for Intix to react. With her, the safety device, placed by Ra Laboon directly locked the Karanzan in Laura. The first cycle is about to end, and the next is the beginning of the second cycle. Yèyuè Guāng looked at Koranzan with a blank face and said, it just happens, it's up to you to start. Immediately afterwards, Yèyuè Guāng shook his bare hands again, and the lurking resentment aggregate was also grasped by him. In the outside world, the mad believers on the magic side are constantly killing, so that the current resentment aggregate has already collected a large amount of resentment. Even Koranzan can't underestimate this monster from another world. But Yèyuè Guāng did not give them a chance to resist at all. The high-level aspect suddenly began to change, and the foundation of the world began to change constantly under the will of Yèyuè Guāng. Advertisement. This power is impossible, you are definitely not God. Karanzan's face changed suddenly, and he began to struggle to escape the shackles of the night moonlight. But he was firmly grasped by Yèyuè Guāng. I am indeed not that God, I am so much stronger than him. Yèyuè Guāng looked at Cologne and said, and, you think you can compete with him, just because he died a long time ago. Yèyuè Guāng no longer pays attention to the reaction of Karanzan and the grievance aggregate, spreading all the power of his master. The world is still that world, but some of the most basic existence was completely changed by Yèyuè Guāng. The first person to discover this was Alistair. It looks like you acted. Alistair said to Yèyuè Guāng calmly, I didn't expect you to notice it so quickly. Yèyuè Guāng looked at Alistair in surprise. The basic time seems to have gone back a bit, and the roots of supernatural powers seem to have changed. Alistair described it. The subtext is that your actions are too big, you can't find it if you don't want to. You are right, I reversed the root of supernatural power. Yèyuè Guāng nodded and said, it has now become ether, good, force, and evolution. It sounds a lot more concise. Alistair spit out rare. You have to rely on you to find the manifestation of these three powers. Yèyuè Guāng said, as for your original plan, I advise you not to touch it. Alistair was silent for a moment and interrupted the communication without saying a word. And Ivers said in a wicked way, oh, I was put on one. If the world is a computer, then he has completely rewritten the hardware of the computer. If you want to run, program, on the new hardware, you must rewrite it. Alistair said to himself, although the loss is great, other forces are not even aware of this now. In other words, are you still an advantage? Ives said with interest. Yes, I have the advantage. Chapter 265 Be wary of props and play backlash. In the second cycle, Yèyuè Guāng changed the way the world works. The original magic and superpowers have all been rewritten and become the fundamental powers that exist in the three forms of ether, the force, and evolution. Ether is the source of magic that often appears in various fantasy works. By consuming spiritual power, intelligent life can use ether to change the material world with its own thoughts. The spiritual power consumed will be absorbed by Yèyuè Guāng. The force is a kind of unreasonable superpower that favors the mind to think things into one kind. Compared with ether, users of the force will not consume mental power. But the force is not available to everyone but requires specific talents. When the users of the force die, their souls will automatically enter the high-level phase for Yèyuè Guāng to drive. As for evolution, it is an invisible rule force acting on large groups. It is mainly embodied in the form of black technology or genetic mutation. The group that enjoys the ability of evolution will gradually move closer to the Yèyuè Guāng camp and become a relationship similar to God and the Lamb. To put it simply, Yèyuè Guāng changed the beneficiary of the entire world's operating system into 337 himself. For this, Yèyuè Guāng naturally did it with peace of mind. Let alone his transformation, it is absolutely benign for the operation of this world. What's more, the fate of the people in the original world is already extremely bad. Under Yèyuè Guāng's interference, they can go to a good ending. Just when Yèyuè Guāng planned to continue to be gentle with his wife, Alistair came up again. I didn't expect you to come to me again and again. Yèyuè Guāng said in surprise. His attitude towards Alistair is not bad. The main reason is that Yèyuè Guāng's power has an absolute advantage. So he didn't have to worry about Alistair's hostile thoughts towards him. Unless Alistair doesn't plan to live anymore, I want to study the new power system. Alistair said straightforwardly. It is more convenient to seek help from the founder of the system than to study hard by yourself. Huh? Don't you have the so-called self-esteem? I didn't expect to ask me for help. Yèyuè Guāng said jokingly. After all, the object is God. It is a thing to be proud of for mortals to ask God for help. Advertisement. Alistair said bachelor. In order to see the scenery he wanted to see earlier, Alistair was also willing to fight. First talk about what you plan to exchange. Yèyuè Guāng did not directly agree, but asked Alistair. Beauty. Are you serious? Hearing Alistair uttering such exaggerated words in a calm tone, Yèyuè Guāng was also blocked for a while. It's just a joke, please don't care. Alistair continued. I will send item to attack you. Please defeat them with a power level just enough to make them desperate. Hey, how does it sound? A bit like cultivation? Yèyuè Guāng showed a happy smile. For Alistair, there was nothing in his hands that could satisfy Yèyuè Guāng in return. Then the only thing that can be done is to carefully arrange a drama that will satisfy Yèyuè Guāng. As expected of you, you have a great control over people's hearts. Yèyuè Guāng said to Alistair. I have agreed to your terms, but there is one thing you should not forget. Please say. If those 4 people get the power to kill you in the future and choose to kill you to vent their anger, I won't help you. Do I even have to participate in this drama? Yes, but accordingly, I allow you to analyze the battles related to me under my default circumstances. Make a deal. Alistair thought for a few seconds before agreeing to Yèyuè Guāng's terms. Behind the opportunities are the same risks, and this truth is understood by Baforesta. I understand, now I'm going to act. In an apartment, Mai Yi Shenli hung up the phone in his hand. Afterwards, she looked at Flanda who was fishing aside and couldn't help but yelled. Get everything ready for me. Ming. Why are you shouting so loudly? Flanda was taken aback. However, due to the majesty of Mai Yi Shenli, she honestly packed her equipment. As for the favorites of Takiju Raihao and Junki, they were well prepared early. There is a new task, check the equipment and prepare to go. Mai Yi Shenli said. The goal of the mission is to defeat a capable person. The opponent's ability is unknown. Maybe it will be tricky. Advertisement. Well, Maya, you are invincible anyway, don't worry. Flanda is flattering as always, but today, such words seem to have no effect. Be serious. This mission can never fail. Seeing Flanda's arrogant appearance, Mai Yi Shenli immediately yelled. Yes, yes. Flanda hurriedly responded loudly, and then did not dare to say more. While Mai Yi Shenli was talking about the main points of the mission, Flanda quietly came to Jianqi's favorite side. Hey, Mai Yi seems to be very strange today. Obviously you were super, beating, okay. Jianqi's favorite is to answer indifferently. Anyway, Mai Yi Shenli didn't lose his temper to Flanda once or twice, and Jianqi's favorite was used to it. Flanda, who did not get a satisfactory answer, had no choice but to keep quiet. Otherwise, if she is seen by Mai Yi Shenli, it will inevitably be another reprimand. This is the general situation. Listen carefully. If the task can be successfully completed this time, we will have a chance to meet the General Director. After Mai Yi Shenli finished speaking, everyone was quiet. General Director, is that the one? Jianqi's favorite mouth addiction has disappeared. Mai Yi Shenli nodded. Yes, it is the existence at the apex of the entire Academy City. You can wait like this, doesn't that mean that this mission will be very dangerous? Flanda said in hindsight. Indeed, the task that can be entrusted by such a person, presumably the person with the ability, is not a fuel-efficient lamp. Even so, we must succeed, this opportunity must not be missed. Mai Yi Shenli said to everyone. Others also understand what this means. As long as you can see that adult, it is already a remarkable thing. Then do it, if there is Maya, we will definitely win. Flanda said blindly. For the sake of morale, Mai Yi Shenli naturally responded. But there was a faint worry in her heart, if the capable person is the man before. Chapter 266 Guide cut version is good looking. You need to control the power of your ability. I don't know how far the current props can do it. Recalling the conditions he had agreed with Alistair, Yèyuè Guāng silently adjusted his output in the next battle. After all, it's not good to let props despair after going through a hard fight, and it's not good to kill them in seconds from the beginning. While Yèyuè Guāng was thinking, a strange loud noise suddenly came from a distance. Boom! Yèyuè Guāng only slightly moved the direction of his eyes and blocked the attack. Iron body? Is it a weapon developed and fired using the principle of an electromagnetic gun? Yèyuè Guāng also showed an expression of interest as he looked at the metal block that had begun to liquefy due to high-speed friction. It seems that props really came prepared. Even this experimental weapon was used. No. The attack has no effect at all. Flanda saw Yèyuè Guāng on the screen, and immediately said loudly. The opponent seems to have a power similar to physical strengthening. The previous shooting has no effect. Damn it. You know, super electromagnetic gun. That guy's ability is useless. After hearing the result, Mai Yi Shenli also showed an expression of unwillingness. Because its own ability is too destructive, and besides causing damage, it has no other purpose in other aspects. Therefore, Mai Yi Shenli ranks lower than Mikoto. This makes Mai Yi Shenli have a poor sense of Mikoto. Ming. There was a laser in that guy's eyes, Flanda yelled suddenly. I saw that the screen was covered by red glare, and then the screen turned into a snowflake. This means that the carefully prepared electromagnetic weapon was destroyed by Yèyuè Guāng in one encounter. What to do? Mai Yi. Flanda hid in the combat command vehicle and did not dare to come out. Just relying on Yèyuè Guāng's defensive ability, coupled with the eye laser, Flanda can no longer be his opponent. I really didn't let Takiju come over to support me. Mai Yi Shenli took a bite, and then he said to the Zhongqi favorite who was on standby. At this moment, Yèyuè Guāng acted. His gaze crossed several buildings, staring straight at Flanda. Flanda. You are locked by the other party, leave now. Advertisement. After seeing this scene through the monitoring, Takiju hurriedly warned Flanda. Hey. Why are you staring at me? Flanda let out a mournful cry. Before she could think about it, she could only grasp what was needed for the battle as much as possible, and then quickly left the combat command vehicle. In the next instant, Yèyuè Guāng's body directly smashed Flanda's car into the wreckage like a cannonball. Flanda was shaken by the sudden shock and fell to the ground. Don't move, or you will be melted by me like that electromagnetic weapon. Yèyuè Guāng's voice came from behind Flanda, and Flanda's hand that was about to take out the bomb froze in the air. Yèyuè Guāng floated slowly and came to Flanda's head. The moment the electromagnetic weapon attacked him, Yèyuè Guāng suddenly had an idea. He thought of a well-known movie he had seen before. After the protagonist inside came back from the dead, he only used his instinct to attack and crushed his companions. That level of power is enough to despair the current props. I won't move. Please don't hurt me. Flanda heard Yèyuè Guāng's words, without any hesitation, directly raised her hand high. Good boy, don't move. Yèyuè Guāng came to Flanda's side and fumbled for her. Of course, it is the kind of normal body search, but it was enough to scare Flanda, who was now terrified, to death. After finding out the communicator and other tools on Flanda's body, Flanda hugged Flanda directly. And flew into the sky with Flanda, who was stiff. Where are you taking me? Flanda's tone sounded almost crying. This feeling of being killed at any time is about to make Flanda frightened crazy. You are the so-called Anbu, right? In this case, of course you are going to fight in places with few people. Yèyuè Guāng whispered in Flanda's ear. Flanda didn't dare to say anything, so she could only act like a mascot. On the other side, Takiju had already mastered the movement of Flanda's equipment. The opponent should have the ability to fly, and Flanda has been taken away now. Advertisement -0 seeking flowers. 0 Takiju said to Makino Shenli, Makino, what should we do now? HMPH, the other party seems very confident, it's almost like inviting us over. Mai Yi Shenli's face gradually became dangerous. She naturally didn't care about Flanda's life or death, or that she was provoked in this way. Mai Yi Shenli has no other ideas. She just wants to kill Yèyuè Guāng from the front. Wait Maya. That guy's abilities are super weird. The Silk Flag's favorite quickly reminded. The body can withstand electromagnetic weapons frontally, and the eyes can also emit super lasers, they can fly. Of course I know, but if it's hit by my atomic destruction, I guess he can't bear it. Mai Yi Shenli said confidently. Her atomic collapse can launch electrons with terrifying acceleration. In that physical state, electrons that didn't have much energy can even melt metal in an instant. It can be said that under Maya Shenli's vision, except for the first and second place, no one dares to bear his own attack head-on. Jian Shi loves seeing Mai Yi Shenli's attitude, and can only temporarily press down on the worries in his heart. I was fully enlightened, but now I can only go. She exchanged her eyes with the Silk Flag favorite with Takiju Lihou, and followed Mai Yi Shenli to Flanda's location. When Mai Yi Shenli and others arrived at the place where the communicator marked Flanda, they found that it was an abandoned research institute. Facilities like this are not said to be everywhere in the Academy City, at least they are very common. It is more cost-effective to just abandon the research institute than to hide the unknown research institute. It is conceivable what kind of darkness is hidden in this so-called city composed of students. Mai Yi Shenli and others didn't care about this. They are Anbu, their hands are already stained with innocent blood. It came pretty fast. At this moment, Yèyuè Guāng's voice sounded not far away. Everyone followed the prestige and saw that Flanda was pitifully tied to the spot by Yèyuè Guāng. Seeing Mai Yi and others, Flanda immediately struggled with excitement. But after being glared at by Yèyuè Guāng, he stayed honest again, and, Chapter 267 Don't Bully Girl. It's really a wolf fox. My Yi Shenli saw Flanda's posture like a large caterpillar and couldn't help but sneer. It's over, My Yi seems to be angry. Flanda saw this familiar look, and her original excitement seemed to be thrown into the ice store. My Yi Shenli, no matter what the enemy is strong, we are weak. As long as it is caught, it means incompetence. According to Flanda's understanding of My Yi Shenli, even if she was rescued, she would die in 9 deaths. Well, it's too late for me to defect now. Flanda had to continue to twist, looking at Yèyuè Guāng with coquettish eyes. Huh? Why do you show such disgusting eyes? Yèyuè Guāng pretended not to hear Flanda's voice, and looked at the girl next to her with disgust. Flanda's eyes gradually lost their luster, and her whole body sank. 337. Just when Yèyuè Guāng still wanted to tease this beautiful legged girl, the green atomic ray suddenly hit Yèyuè Guāng's body. Great what? She loves to be fortunate secretly, but in the next second, she can't laugh. Yèyuè Guāng hardly received the atomic rays with his body. I saw where the atomic ray hits, the clothes disappeared in an instant. However, Yèyuè Guāng's body didn't break as bad as Maya Shenli thought, but just shone with red light. Then the normal color was slowly restored. What a powerful attack, my muscles melted in that instant. Yèyuè Guāng showed a surprised expression, but in the eyes of Mai Yi and others, Yèyuè Guāng was mocking their attacks for no effect. In fact, if it hadn't been for Yèyuè Guāng to control his body to produce a corresponding response, My Yi Shenli's attack could not even leave a trace. It's so bad, this one. Shi loves to sweat in a cold sweat and said, even if it is the ability of physical strengthening, this is really outrageous. No, his ability is not physical strengthening. Takiku Lihou also nervously said, the other party's aim diffusion field is very strange. I have never seen such an example. For a time, the atmosphere gradually solidified, even though Mai Yi and others had already made their consciousness at the beginning. But after really meeting Yèyuè Guāng, Mai Yi Shenli realized that he might have underestimated this mission. Advertisement, have you discussed the countermeasures? Don't worry, I can give you a few more minutes. Like a provocation, Yèyuè Guāng said this to Mai Yi Shenli. Oops. Jianqi's favorite and Takihu Lihou couldn't help but think so. Sure enough, Maya Shenli, who was still vigilant before, could not help but run away at this moment. Really looked down upon. Mai Yi Shenli gritted his teeth and said, his voice gradually became hoarse. All around her, there were nearly plural plasma balls. Maya, are you planning to attack indiscriminately? Jianqi's favorite couldn't help but ask. One of the main reasons why Mai Yi Shenli's ranking is lower than Mikoto's is that her ability to control is too poor. The inability to control precisely means that Mai Yi Shenli can only randomly attack any target she sees. It is completely impossible to consider issues such as hostages or controlling the scope of damage. Kinki's favorite and Takiko Lihou are located behind Maya Shenli, so there is no need to worry about being affected. But Flanda behind Yèyuè Guāng was choking. Flanda was obviously aware of this, and the whole person wriggled more greatly. If you don't want to die, just hide behind for me. Mai Yi Shenli said murderously. After Jianqi's favorite and Takiju, she didn't dare to say anything anymore. It's a twisted mind, obviously I have completed the first cycle. Yèyuè Guāng saw the extreme temple frenzy shown by Mai Yi Shenli, and couldn't help but slightly raised his eyebrows. It seems that the influence of the demons on this world still has to be slowly eliminated. At this moment, Yèyuè Guāng felt as if he had touched something with his leg. Yèyuè Guāng looked over curiously. I saw Flanda, who was already scared and about to go crazy, touching Yèyuè Guāng with her body forcefully. It's not easy for you, little guy. Yèyuè Guāng couldn't help but slap her tongue when she watched Flanda bend her knees so humbly. He is not a devil, he likes to admire the cry of a girl. Hey, you two, take her away. Yèyuè Guāng picked up Flanda and threw it directly at the Silk Flag favorite. The Silk Flag froze for a moment, obviously not expecting Yèyuè Guāng to throw Flanda over. The Silk Banner's favorite, who had recovered, quickly used his ability to catch Flanda. Advertisement, I thought I was going to die. Flanda, who was finally able to speak, was about to shed tears. 0. Mailonda, you guy, you really betrayed us, right? The Silk Flag can't help but say. Flanda immediately stood up like a blow-up. Don't talk nonsense. Hey, I will be killed by Mai Yi. Then why would he let you back? It's super unreasonable. The Silk Flag favorite said so. Don't blame her for being nervous, the other party's abilities may not be under Maya Shenli. If Flanda is really an undercover agent, she would be in danger after arranging her with Takiju. That little lady, don't think people are so gloomy. Hearing the favorite words of the Silk Flag, Yèyuè Guāng said helplessly, I just don't want you to make trouble, you can't intervene in our battle. Mai Yi snorted coldly, and had already started to target Yèyuè Guāng's eyes and other weaknesses. Hearing Yèyuè Guāng's words, the Silk Flag loves no more delay. After holding Takiju in one hand, Flanda, who was carrying soft legs in one hand, left. I can't tell, you're still a good man. After his 3 subordinates left, Mai Yi Shenli sneered and said, I will give you a happy one. If you are an adult, just this sentence will be enough for you to die 100 times. Yèyuè Guāng scratched his head with a headache. Although Mai Yi Shenli is very mature, she is really a high school student. Only because of her dressing style and living in a life and death environment makes her look like an ant. Besides, Yèyuè Guāng has already agreed to an experiment with Alistair. If you destroy the experimental materials now, it is estimated that Alistair will definitely laugh at Yèyuè Guāng in his heart. Mai Yi Shenli's eyes gleamed. Atomic rays blasted towards Yèyuè Guāng's body along with Mai Yi Shenli's murderous aura. Although the accuracy is poor, the distance between Mai Yi Shenli and Yèyuè Guāng is only about 100 meters. Using the quantity, Mai Yi Shenli made up for his lack of ability. But under Yèyuè Guāng's laser beam, Mai Yi Shenli's several atomic rays were instantly cancelled out. How can it be? Mai Yi Shenli shouted out in disbelief. Although not the strongest capable person in Academy City, Mai Yi Shenli firmly believes that his destructive power is absolutely top-notch. As a result, the unknown man in front of him was able to offset his continuous attacks. Chapter 268 Head Mallet. Seeing the expression on Mai Yi Shenli's face, Yèyuè Guāng shook his head in disappointment. Rather than saying that these superpowers in Academy City are fighting, it is better to say that they are just using their abilities indiscriminately. At this point, even Yèyuè Guāng's daughter Makoto could not be spared. There is no sense of fighting at all. If it weren't for the destructive ability of their own, the battle between them was nothing more than a child's play. But it's no wonder after all, the world has already been messed up. Yèyuè Guāng said to himself. Oh, what are you talking about there? Mai Yi Shenli pressed his throat and said to Yèyuè Guāng. Use this to hide your nervousness. Yèyuè Guāng shook his head again and took a violent breath. Mai Yi Shenli, who was standing opposite Yèyuè Guāng, even felt that his footsteps were a little unstable. Before Mai Yi Shenli recovered, Yèyuè Guāng blew out a fierce freezing air. In an instant, Mai Yi Shenli's body was frozen by Yèyuè Guāng with the ground. Calm down a little bit, your temper will hurt you sooner or later. Yèyuè Guāng said to Mai Yi Shenli. Ten Makino Shenli, who was frozen in the ice, still wanted to struggle, but he couldn't do anything. Using atomic rays in this situation will undoubtedly hurt herself by mistake. Therefore, Mai Yi Shenli can only look at Yèyuè Guāng with ferocious eyes, but he can't do much at all. Obviously with a cute and sexy face, how come his personality is so bad? Yèyuè Guāng walked in front of Mai Yi Shenli with wicked taste. After that, both hands directly passed through the ice cubes around Mai Yi Shenli's body and began to rub the pink face into various expressions. Woo! Oh demon Selene, I'm going to kill you. Mai Yi Shenli became more and more angry, but there was still no way to get Yèyuè Guāng. On the other side, Jianqi's favorite is finally bringing Takiju and Flanda to a safe place. It's safe here for the time being. After putting her second daughter on the ground, Jianqi's favorite was finally relieved. On the one hand it is due to tension, on the other hand it is due to physical exhaustion. It's so sad, now we don't even use the equipment. The Silk Flag's favorite said helplessly. Not only is it separated from the strongest main force in the organization, Mai Yi Shenli, but even high-tech equipment cannot be used. Hey, is it okay over Maya now? Advertisement Flanda asked afterwards. I didn't mean that Mai Yi is not that guy's opponent, it's just that the man doesn't look easy to deal with. Needless to say Flanda, we know what you mean. Takiju shook his head and signaled Flanda not to continue. What she meant, both Takiju Raihao and Junki's favorites understood. Although Yèyuè Guāng limited his power to avoid the Vice Admiral, props, in the battle, the group of 4 was accidentally killed. But some things have nothing to do with strength. That man, just by looking at his eyes, he knows that he is a man who has experienced many battles and is extremely difficult to deal with. Jianqi loves to bite his fingers. Magino might be in a hard fight. Then what shall we do? Even in the past, I can't help. Flanda was a little nervous. She instinctively didn't want to go there, but she knew that if Mai Yi and Shen Li were not opponents. It's their turn next, go back and find some usable equipment. Even if it's not that guy's opponent, you can at least contain him. Jianqi said helplessly most. There is no hope of turning defeat into victory. As Anbu, they can only do their best to do what they can do. But at this moment, suddenly an invisible object flew in the sky. The Silk Flag was most surprised, and he quickly grabbed the Takiju Rigo and Flanda beside him, and flashed to the side. Boom, a big hole was punched in the ground by that object. This is, after seeing what was falling clearly, Jianqi loves to take a few steps back in surprise. I saw Mai Yi Shenli, who was frozen into ice, was thrown directly and roughly by Yèyuè Guāng. Mai Yi Shenli's face looked very bad. The shock and the mental pressure of falling from a high altitude made her face pale. Although he still keeps his eyes open, he can no longer think sensibly. Just kidding, Mai Yi actually lost, so Flanda's face paled even more. Yèyuè Guāng had already flown over their heads before Takiju could be judged. After seeing Yèyuè Guāng's figure, the 3 people who were still able to act were all nervous and afraid to move. I thought you could go a little bit farther, but did you only have this degree? Advertisement. Yèyuè Guāng looked at the dumbfounded people and sighed again in his heart. As far as their current level is concerned, even the level of games is not enough. You guys go. I'll hold it here. Silk Flag's favorite is too late to say anything. She can only choose the only course of action. It is a pity that her consciousness has not been able to change the current situation. At the moment when Silk Flag's favorite hostility was felt, Yèyuè Guāng acted directly. With a loud sound, The Silk Flag's favorite was smashed directly into the ground by Yèyuè Guāng with a hammer. You two, will you continue to fight? Seeing the unconscious Silk Flag favorite, Takiju and Flanda all shook their heads desperately. What's a joke? The two main players in the team were killed instantly, what use are they to? If this is the case, then you will carry them up, and 233 will come with me. Yèyuè Guāng's tone is full of playfulness. If it is of no use, I will kill you. We will be obedient. Flanda hurriedly stepped forward and carried the Silk Flag favorite. She is still very exciting, known to pick one who is not that big to carry. When Takiju saw this, he could only accept Maya Shenli with a bitter face. The ice cube on Maya Shenli's body has been blown away by Yèyuè Guāng. Maya Shenli also fainted. Otherwise, Takiju, who is not good at sports, will not be able to recite the state of Shinri Makino. When the two came to the place prepared by Yèyuè Guāng with their unconscious teammates, they all collapsed on the ground feebly. No way, I'm going to be exhausted, Flanda panted hard, her eyes began to lose their highlights. She is a genuine, little princess, and rarely does anything like this. Had it not been for Yèyuè Guāng exuding an indisputable aura in front, Flanda had already given up. Takiju gave Flanda a speechless glance after the treatment. The pressure on her side was even greater. Well, you two don't want to be hypocritical there anymore, you are Anbu. Yèyuè Guāng looked at the two girls helplessly. This is really lacking in military literacy at all, even the superpower world can't be so slack.